Is it recording on laptop or recording in recording on what is it called, on the cloud? Okay, so I think you can stop recording now and wait for others to join. Then when the meeting.
And thank you for that. And I must really appreciate everyone who has joined this session this evening. And I must really commend the good work that is happening with the Singles Fellowship at the Abuja campus of the Covenant Nation. Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to my friend as well, my covenant friend and brother. I call him Bishop Joel Oshoba, and his dear wife, Sister Gbemi Sola, for the invitation and for making this a possibility. And thank you to everyone who is here. Let's dive right in. I know we are a little behind schedule already, and so I want to get started already so that we can maximize the time and learn as much as possible, okay? I believe you can hear me loud and clear. If you can, let's make use of the chat room and engage as much as possible, because this is a virtual session, so you want to make sure that you're attentive and your audience is following you. Thank you, Rita, for the comment. So I'll proceed to share my screen now and then walk you through a number of things in the next 90 minutes. Remember, this is for 90 minutes. And so your attention, I really crave your attention to be with me for the next 90 minutes. If you can see my screen, you can also comment that, yes, you can see my screen. The session here is titled Emotional Intelligence for Career Growth. Emotional Intelligence for Career Growth. And I've tagged this, the intelligence that matters more. Okay, I'm sure you can see my screen. Let me just confirm that, yes, you can. Thank you, Obadiah, and the others as well. All right, so let's get started today. But just before we get started today, little housekeeping. This is very important that you pay attention. I know the moderator, Mui, has already mentioned this, but it's very important that we all pay attention to the following things I'm about to say so that we can make the most of this session today. First off, please keep your mics muted, all right? This is very important so that there are no interruptions incessantly, okay, as I proceed, because when you suddenly just unmute your mic and there's a sudden sound from somewhere, it can just disrupt the flow of the thought. So, and then of course, so that we can all learn collectively and holistically, let's keep our mics muted, and I know that we will all do that, okay? And then secondly, let's pay attention, okay? It's 90 minutes, it's virtual. You can't see me physically, you can't see me in person. So there's a tendency to be distracted. Maybe you want to check Instagram, check Facebook, check something else, cook, eat some, just pay attention, okay? Because I'm here for a mission and for a mandate and for an assignment, okay? And it may just be one word you hear that will strike you and stay with you forever, okay? I'm not going to be saying necessarily new things. I will say some new things, I'll say some old things. I'm bringing out things that are new and old from inside of myself to share. So it may just be one thing that strikes and resonates with you and stays with you forever. And so please pay attention. And then number three, take notes, okay? Take notes. If you have a jotter, if you have your notepad on your phone, that also works well. So take notes because it's not everything that you will see on your screen. That I would say, I wouldn't say everything necessarily that I won't capture everything on the slides. Okay, so you want to just say maybe an example I cited or a point I made that is not on the screen. Okay, you can also take screenshots. So take notes. Okay, this is how to maximize training sessions like this. I've done this for the last 5 years, 6 years now counting. We've trained over 7,000 people. I know how it can be when you are virtually, you virtually would not learn anything if you're not attentive, okay, and you're not intentional about your learning, okay? And then of course, engage. The last, next point here is engage, okay? We have the chat room there that has been, it's there for us to engage, okay? So that's when your mics are muted, then you can chat in the chat room as well. And then if a point resonates with you, if a point ministers to you, like we say it in the church parlance, you can just type it in the chat room and say, wow, this is good. I know there'll be room for questions at the end. Okay, there will be maybe 10, 15 minutes room for questions. So please do well to engage as much as possible. And then the final point here is that please practice what you hear or learn today. The value of what you learn is in the practice. Okay, there is no point learning all of these things and then not utilizing, even if it's just one thing that you decide that from today, I'm going to utilize this at my workplace. I'm going to do this at my workplace, because most of what I'll be sharing with you today, with us today, they are assignments, okay? They are assignments. They are not things that you just hear and then go and sit down. There are things that you have to sit down and say, okay, what am I going to do after this session? What are the steps I'm going to take? What am I going to be intentional about? Okay, so that this is not just one of such trainings that come and then pass and then just goes and then you make nothing out of it. Okay, so be intentional, and that's why it's good to take notes, because you can always go back to reflect. Thankfully, this has also been recorded, and so we can go back to it and reflect, but more importantly, take actions. All right, the value of what we learn is in the actions that we take, not just in the hearing of them. All right, having said that, I've been introduced already. My name is Peace Wandele, lead consultant for Marquillos Consulting. I'm a communication skills expert, a soft skills expert, BA Education, University of Lagos, Nigeria, and then master's degree in education planning and management, South American University, US. These are some of the brands that I've worked with for the last 6-7 years, counting. Keeps expanding, thankfully, thank God. And the sky is the limit, really, when the grace of God is at work. And we just thank God for the opportunities that he has brought our way to impact these lives. Okay, in the last 5 years, we've trained over 5,000 professionals in the fields of soft skills, emotional intelligence, leadership, and a bevy of other topics. Now, let's dive right into our session today. Okay, this is where I want you to be attentive and listen and take notes. All right. Emotional intelligence is a big deal, okay, right now, and I'm going to walk you through a step to justify why you need to pay attention to this training and anything that has to do with emotional intelligence or anything that has to do with soft skills, all right? Now, let me start from an introduction and give a background. Do you know that we're right now in what we call the 4th Industrial Revolution, okay? Industrial Revolution 4, okay? So back in the day, we had all kinds of industrial revolutions. So the first one was almost 100 years ago, started with water and steam. So back in the day, water and steam engine, those were the drivers of production. So you couldn't do anything that was meaningful if you didn't have water and steam engine to power your production, to scale, okay, to achieve more profit. And then we moved over to the 2nd Industrial Revolution, and electric power was a game changer. That's why we talked about the likes of Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday, electricity, all of those things that happened back then, discovering the light bulb, all of that. So electricity was the major driver of production in the 2nd Industrial Revolution. And then we came to the 3rd Industrial Revolution. This was the internet era. The internet era was big. I mean, when internet, www.com, bubble, everything in the 1990s, 1960s or thereabout, and it was a big deal, okay? Internet, yahoo.com, www websites started springing up. All of us got email addresses and all of those things. Those are 3rd Industrial Revolution. But guess what? Right now, and this is not, I'm sure it's not news to you, we're in what is called the 4th Industrial Revolution, okay? And this revolution is called the digital revolution. The digital revolution. I'm sure we're all familiar with this concept. I'm talking to young people. I'm also equally young, and we have a lot of people that are jumping on the bandwagon of the digital revolution. It's almost as though the next day you wake up, there's already a technology that has been launched or released. Okay, there's always an update. Okay, and so when you say digital revolution, you hear all kinds of technology springing up by the day. Okay, you're almost spoiled for choice. Okay, what is happening? So you hear artificial intelligence, and right now, of course, you know about ChatGPT taking the world by storm. Okay, I mean, jobs are being lost almost every day just because of the introduction of this novel and transformative technology called ChatGPT. I mean, through artificial intelligence. Of course, we have biotechnology that has been in existence for a couple of years now. Nanotechnology. All of these technologies are part of the industrial revolution, the digital revolution, the 4th Industrial Revolution. We have robotics changing the game. Autonomous vehicles that are driving themselves, okay, without a driver, driverless cars, okay? And then, of course, we have social media. There's always almost a social media platform that has been launched almost every day, every second. Just some weeks ago, we heard about Threads, okay, from Instagram. And then, of course, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's LinkedIn, there's TikTok, lots of them that I've not even captured here. That is what typifies what is called the digital revolution. Such that if you want to scale your business, if you want to be productive in this era, you have to digitize, okay? You have to go digital, okay? If you have anything you're doing, look at this meeting we're having, for example, it's digital. Everybody's seated at different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and we are online having a meeting, having a session, we're learning, okay? That's the digital revolution. I'm saying this and I'm going somewhere, and I want you to really pay attention here. Now, in 2020, of course, we know about the COVID-19 pandemic that struck. And that really got the digital revolution to be accelerated, okay? When schools were shut down, churches were shut down, mosques were shut down, businesses were shut down, a lot of things were total shutdown. The world was temporarily closed. And that necessitated the heightened use of digital technologies, okay? And so we always say that, I mean, when COVID struck, the digital revolution was multiplied by 100% because everybody now started leveraging technologies. Zoom meetings, I mean, Zoom made a lot of profit because people started applying, having meetings online. Google Meet, all kinds of things started happening online. And then we have all kinds of meetings happening, Instagram lives happening, sessions. And so the COVID-19 heightened and accelerated the impact of the digital revolution, such that the World Economic Forum now predicted that by 2022, because of what we're seeing with the height of and the increase of the digital revolution, by 2022, 42% of jobs will be taken over by machines. And by 2025, it will increase to 52%. Isn't that a staggering statistic? That means lots of jobs will become irrelevant because we have machines that can fish. Okay. And so this is already happening right now because we see that the digital revolution as is now in full scale, okay? And so we see that right now we're in 2023, we have ChatGPT running the game, we have jobs, people have lost lots of jobs. And I'm going to show you some very interesting news that is happening right now about ChatGPT. People are already going into AI, bosses are firing their staff, because look, if a machine can do your job, why do I need you, okay? And that's what is happening. And so this prediction rings very true. This prediction is accurate. By 2025, you just realize that a lot of jobs have become obsolete, all right? I'm going somewhere, I'm building a story. For example, look at this news. Earlier in the year, we saw a lot of top giants, top brands, top organizations like Google, like Amazon, like Microsoft, fintech startups laying off their staff in huge numbers. Thousands of staff were laid off across different big organizations, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, okay? And even in Nigeria, a lot of companies couldn't, especially because of the cash crunch, because of the financial crisis, we see a lot of companies laying off their staff. These are the changes happening right now in the world of work, okay? And of course, ChatGPT, like I said, is the big phenomenon out there right now. Of course, we have other counterparts. Google has what we call Bard, Google Bard, okay, which is like a rivalry of ChatGPT. Others, Elon Musk just some days ago said he's releasing his own version of ChatGPT also. So a lot of things happening. And so look at this news that says, is ChatGPT coming for your job? 5 roles AI could disrupt within the next 5 years. And then look at this Rider headline here that says IBM recently announced that its own AI will soon take over 8,000 jobs at the company. Staggering, right? Isn't that amazing that you just wonder what exactly is happening in the world? Technology is taking over. That is a digital revolution. And of course, look at this as well from the World Economic Forum, captured by CNBC, that nearly 25% of jobs are set to be disrupted in the next 5 years. And AI could play a key role in this. So AI, this is just news all over the world that AI is taking over. And of course, just recently, this is like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, a CEO in India fired 90% of his support staff. That's very alarming, right? Claiming that AI outperforms them on every metric, okay? This is what we're seeing right now. And so artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, digital revolution, it's only going to get increasingly, whether you want to say worse, bad, whatever it is you want to say, it's up to you. But the fact remains that we're in the age of digital revolution. And if you're going to be a skilled worker, and I want to explain how emotional intelligence ties into all of this. If you're going to be a skilled worker, you have to be doing more than the usual to become relevant in the world of work. You have to have more than what the ordinary person has, okay? Before you can be counted as an expert, before you can be regarded in your field, and before you can say, okay, this is somebody who cannot easily replace by a machine. Now, let's go on now. With all of these things happening, experts have also predicted now that the sporadic rise of cutting-edge technology will result in a greater proportion of jobs relying on a different set of skills than what was previously required. That means as technologies begin to increase and advance, that means when you want to apply for a job, beyond your technical skills, experts are saying that employers of labor are going to be asking and requesting and looking out for extra. You can't just present and go for an interview and go for to apply for a job, and all they are thinking or saying is just looking at your CV and all. They're looking for something extra, a different set of skills. And they have said that this different set of skills are what is called soft skills. much greater emphasis will be placed on what is known as soft skills rather than hard skills. Okay, in my book, which I'm going to talk about later on, I share a difference between hard skills and soft skills. Hard skills are most of the skills we go to schools, to our schools to learn. Most of us learned hard skills in school. Okay, but soft skills are the human skills, okay, that machines don't have, okay? The interaction, personal human interaction, the emotion, the feeling. And guess what? Emotional intelligence is one of it, which is why we're exploring emotional intelligence today. So much greater emphasis. So as technologies begin to increase, because almost every week, almost every month, there's always a new technology that's been updated or a new one has been introduced to the market. And then experts are saying, as these things happen, we need to begin to rely on innate human skills that machines do not have, because that is what will give you the advantage. And these innate skills are called soft skills. All right. Now, let me quickly summarize with 5 points. This is where I want you to pay attention. And this is where I want you to write this point down, because this is defining, okay? I research the field of emotional intelligence and soft skills every single day, okay? Any news I see on emotional intelligence, on soft skills, I read it and study it. Any webinar I join and I hear the experts talking, I capture the thoughts, okay? Because it's important to know how the world is going. Okay, I use technology, I leverage technology, but that's not my field. I can't code, or program, I can't design websites or anything, but I know where my lot is, okay? I know where I want to focus on training and all of those things. That's my area of expertise. So I want to be able to leverage and position myself successfully. Okay, I want to be able to train my clients, okay? I have clients that I'm training weekends, for example, and I tell them, I share articles with them that this is how you can position yourself. The world is changing, okay? And you have to be able to, if you're not able to leverage some of these platforms or add skills that will make you an expert, that will make you well positioned on that job, you're going to be missing out a lot. Now, there are 5 changes and 5 shifts in the world of work happening right now that you need to be aware of, apart from technology, and this is powered by technology because of the digital revolution that we are in right now. The digital revolution, especially because of artificial intelligence, has changed the workplace, okay? Employers are expecting certain things. The way people relate with each other is getting different. The way your boss, your line manager, your superior, the owners of companies, the way, what they're expecting, what they are seeing, what they are sensing, how they make decisions, okay? It's governed by some of these 5 things I'm about to share with you. First of all, and these things are the reasons why soft skills have become non-negotiable. And that's why we're going into emotional intelligence today. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is what is called the increasing commoditization of skills, okay? This may sound like a strange term to you, but please pay attention. Commoditization of skills due to AI. What is commoditization of skills? When your skills become commoditized, it means that non-professionals think that they can do it. Imagine you're a professional, you've been doing this for the last 5 years, 10 years, and you're an expert. Let's say you're a copywriter. Let's say you code well and all of those things. And then somebody who is just 1 year after NYSC and all of that, suddenly say, look, I don't need you, I can do it. Your skill has become commoditized. That means what AI is doing right now, especially with ChatGPT and the likes of them, is that they are making ordinary people, non-professionals, for example, editing now. Some people don't need to, they can write up articles, write up posts that are clearly worded without any grammatical error, and they wouldn't have consulted an editor. So your work as an editor has become commoditized. It's no longer necessary. For example, when a skill is commoditized in a company, they can fire you and then get somebody else to do it without hiring an extra staff, because they know that somebody else on the team can do it. Your skill has become commoditized. It's now a commodity. There's nothing special about that skill again. So what else are you going to bring to that company? What else are you going to bring to that job that will make you different? That's number one. Number two is that there's right now a high demand for employees' unique, authentic creativity. There is a high demand for employees' unique and authentic creativity. If you are coming to the world of work, your bosses are looking out for what exactly can you bring out that somebody else cannot do? What is inside of you that is not inside somebody else that you will say in a meeting, that you present at a meeting, that you suggest to your boss or to your line manager that will stand you apart from machines? There's a demand on creativity. Every professional out there right now, if you're going to be employed, they're asking, what's different about you? Which is why your unique story, your background, your experiences, the things that have happened to you in the past, those things matter. Those things are very important in the world of work because you see the world differently. A machine has been programmed a particular way to act a certain way based on data that is available. But to you, you are bringing your own innate creativity to bear when you come to a workplace, and that is what distinguishes you. The people that are high flyers right now, they are leveraging creativity. If you see movies that are trending, because creativity has been applied. If you see designs that are being celebrated, creativity is something unique, something out of this world. Because if you are thinking of just doing the usual, AI can do that. ChatGPT can give me anything I want in a second. Okay, so creativity is on the high side. It's high demand right now. Number 3 is also, and these are things that are happening in the workplace. These are conversations happening right now. These terminologies that I have underlined intentionally, you want to write them down. I'm going to research and read more about them. These are things that are changing the world of work. There's an increased need for what is called psychological safety in the workplace. Psychological safety is a big term, especially after COVID-19 happened and people started going back and resuming at offices and remote work, online work, and then people started resuming back at the offices. Now, HR, Department of HR, they are prioritizing this concept called psychological safety. And what does that mean? It means that employees should feel comfortable to share their disagreements about anything without anybody judging them, condemning them. You should be able to air your opinions. There is now an open, and that's what is happening in the world of work now, especially in the US, Canada, UK. This concept is changing the game. Okay, psychological safety. There are tons of articles online about this concept. People you want your opinions to be heard. You want people to be able to you want them to feel free to share their perspectives, because you don't know what somebody can say that will change the direction of the company and bring in a lot of profit. So psychological safety. And of course, the priority of strategic collaboration amongst teams. This is also another big concept. Employers are saying, look, gone are the days where there's just one man celebrity. This one is a worker of the year, but the worker of the year cannot work with other people. If you're going to be promoted, your boss is looking out for somebody who is able to collaborate, who is able to network, who is able to carry other people along, who is able to bring the perspectives of other people, collaboration, who is able to network and connect with people in the job, so that you can take, because the more, if one person can do 10, guess what 100 people can do? You can do 1 million. And so it's not just one man show again. There's right now a demand for strategic collaboration. How are you able to carry other people? You are smart, you're intelligent, you had the first class in school. Brilliant. Bless God for that. We celebrate the goodness of God in your life, but that's not enough. You need to now learn how to collaborate and partner with other people in the world of work towards amplifying that success. Are you still with me? Are you still with me? Okay. Now, the last one is what is called the flight to quality or the flight to safety syndrome. I'm just trying to establish, I've not started teaching emotional intelligence. Usually it takes me 3 hours to do this, okay? So this is by no means exhaustive. I'm just giving you the highlight and just to whet your appetite and get you interested in this very important subject of emotional intelligence. Now, the flight to quality or flight to safety syndrome is something that is happening right now, okay? Because whenever there is any upset in the market, whenever there is any issue with government policy, employers of labor, owners of business, CEOs, they begin to make a decision to, is a concept in investment. They begin to, any investment that is high risk, they begin to remove their investment and begin to invest in something that is safe, okay? So for example, if you are investing in something that you think is the trend of the day, okay, but when a government policy comes, when the market is not favorable, for example, in Nigeria now, we know things are very expensive, and so there's a lot of strain in the market. The flight to quality syndrome is going to be heightened because employers and owners of businesses are going to be flying to quality, flying to safety, meaning that they're going to be making decisions that, look, let me just go for something that is safe, something that is predictable. And that's the same thing that applies to your talent. Your talent also, people are going to be looking for people that they can predict. They can look at you and they look at your talent, they look at your competency, they look at your skill. They know that this person is safe. Okay, I don't just want to invest in somebody, I don't want to employ somebody that is going to run off with my business later on or not show up at work. They want people that are tested, tried and true. They have requisite skills in the world of work. So this flight to quality syndrome, flight to safety syndrome, and all of these 5 changes and shifts in the world of work emphasize the need for soft skills. If your skills are getting commoditized, that means you need to add something else, soft skills that machines do not have. Creativity is a soft skill. that is undeniably necessary and useful in the world of work. Psychological safety, you can't have that mindset of, let me listen to other people, let me condemn if you don't have soft skills. Strategic collaboration. Collaboration is a soft skill. I have a course on it. Flight to quality. People are pursuing quality because they want people that don't just have the certification. And people go to school, but they can't do the job. Are you seeing that some companies right now have started hiring staff members that didn't go to school? Because they can see that this person can do the job, even without school, without a certificate, without a degree. So what is the summary of what I'm saying right now? The summary is that in light of all that is going on, in getting a job beyond your certificate or your degree, employers will be looking out for soft skills that machines cannot replace. Employers will be looking out for soft skills that machines cannot replace. So if you're a worker here, and right now I already see it in job adverts, okay, I work with recruitment agencies a lot. I see some of the posts, and when in the job ad, they put it there. The hard skill, they now put the soft skill, creativity, time management, pressure, all of those things, because they are seeing that this is becoming non-negotiable. And that's why I have I teach emotional intelligence, and that's why I celebrate the Single Fellowship Abuja for organizing this, because this is paramount. This is going to be a conversation that will never stop, because as long as we're in the world, machines cannot catch up with human beings. Machines do not have emotions. Now let's go on down. Now look at this, look at your screen and look at these 10 skills. These are 10 skills, according to LinkedIn, that are the most in-demand skills in 2023. Number one, management. You cannot be a good manager without a soft skill, without emotional intelligence, without communication skills, without collaboration skills. You can't. Communication, number two, is a soft skill. How can you communicate effectively? I have a course on effective communication. You can't. It's a soft skill. Customer service. How can you address clients and move and connect with people without soft skills? Not possible. Leadership. That's one of the grand soft skills. People management. You can't do that without soft skills. Sales. You want to sell without soft skills? Even from the things you put out there, the words you put out there, how you put it out, how emotionally intelligent are the words you put out there as a way of catching clients and winning clients and buying them over. Without soft skills, you can't do that. Project management. I was a parapro years ago where the things were getting really tough. Many people want to be in jobs, but when pressure increases in project management, you need soft skills. You need to be emotionally intelligent to be able to deal with the demands of a project. Research, you have to be smart to be able to connect the dots, to be able to understand what this person is saying here, what this other person is saying there, and then connect the dots. That's emotional intelligence. Analytical skills, okay, even data, even as you're looking at numbers and looking at data, you have to be able to make sense of what you are saying. And that takes emotional intelligence. You have to look at trends, patterns, and then be able to predict. All of that requires that you know human behavior, you understand psychology, you understand sociology. Marketing, how can you market to a world? Sales and marketing. If you don't understand about the world, you don't understand what the world needs, you don't understand what the market needs, you study market research, market trends, and it takes emotional intelligence. You have to understand how people think and reason. Teamwork. So all I'm trying to say is that these top 10 skills require soft skills. These top 10 jobs or skills that LinkedIn has identified as the top 10 skills in the world today require that you have a soft skill. And one of the grandest soft skills you can have is what is called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, I have taught it for the last 6 years, is the godfather of soft skills. When you have emotional intelligence, you have leadership skills already. You have creativity skills already. You have communication skills already. You have persuasive skills already. That's why it's called the godfather of soft skills. From experience, I've seen that this particular skill, this one skill, can change the narrative of a company, can change the narrative of a home, of a relationship, can change everything positively. If you have emotional intelligence, you have a lot of things. And that's why some of the benefits of emotional intelligence. As you can see on my screen, Gabriel, can you kindly mute? You can see that when you have emotional intelligence, you have increased team performance. People perform better when there's emotional intelligence, increased leadership ability. When you're emotionally intelligent, you will lead a team effectively and efficiently. When you're emotionally intelligent, your decisions will be sharper, improved decision making. That means you are more insightful. Your decisions are coming from a deeper place. You have weighed all the sides. It's not just enough to be smart. When you're emotional intelligence, you are going to be less stressed. Occupational stress will be less. Reduce staff turnover. Have you seen companies where People just resign because they don't like the boss, because of what the boss said, because of what the line manager said, because the manager said something that didn't sit down well with them. They can't cope. People love companies that are emotionally intelligent. And so if you are building a company, building a team, building anything, an organization, you have to build it with emotional intelligence in mind. Increase personal well-being. Even a sense of personal satisfaction comes into your being when you are emotionally intelligent. You just realize that you are not always grouchy. You are not always complaining. You are not always bossy. You are calm. You have a calm perspective to life. Further still, why do you need emotional intelligence in the workplace? Okay, I'm just whetting your appetite now to cause you to want to be excited. Take note here. One of the reasons why you need emotional intelligence in the workplace is because there is politics in the workplace. Politics. Yeah? There's politics everywhere. But in the workplace, wow. You come into a workplace and you don't know that there's power play. There are people that, there are cabals, politics. These are the decision makers in the office, and you just get there newly. We're going to talk about that later on. And you're doing anyhow, saying anything anyhow, talking anyhow, addressing people anyhow. You are on your way to politics into the workplace. And so if you don't know how to play the politics of the office, which is what emotional intelligence will teach you, you know when to shut up, you know when to speak, you know when to say, look, you just know when to apologize. Those are the things. You know how to manage relationships. You know how to, all of those things. There's politics in the workplace. Secondly, there's sociology in the workplace. Sociology is the study of human interaction, social interactions. Okay, so if you don't understand that there's sociology, people work in groups. There are some people that like to associate with each other, with one another. They go in groups. So there are some people that you just realize that this person likes talking to this person and this person, they are similar. They always go. Whenever this person says something in a meeting, this person agrees, and just right, that's sociology. And if you don't understand that there's sociology in the workplace, then you just get into that workplace and you are doing anything anyhow. There's sociology in the workplace. These are the reasons why some people get fired almost immediately after they get into a job. Because they don't understand that it is not enough to have a first class. It's not enough to be smart and brilliant up there. You have to understand that there are other things at play. Some people may not be smart, but the kind of relationships they have built in that office. Some people may not have your degree and may not have gone to Harvard or gone to top schools or anything, Covenant University or whatever, but they have built stamina. Look at the likes of the founders of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, he left school. Bill Gates left school. But guess what they found? They founded platforms that can connect people. These guys were emotionally intelligent. Of course, later on, they will now go back to school, but they realize that, look, it's not enough of books and certificates. Nigerians like certificates.
It's this emotional intelligence you're talking about relationship.
Or
Not
more.
that, no.
Can you mute yourself?
Can you mute Omo? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Peace.
All right. So there's sociology in the workplace, and we have to be mindful that, look, whenever we are coming into a new environment, you have to understand what is going on there. Before you begin to talk, you need to open your mouth. Things happen. Sociology is in the workplace. Thirdly, there's psychology in the workplace. There's psychology. What is psychology? Psychology is the study of human behavior. People behave, people have idiosyncrasies, tendencies, they have all kinds of frailties, faults, they have all kinds of things, the way they talk, the way they speak, the way they stand, the way they sit. Your boss in that office, there are some psychological behaviors, certain traits and habits and thought patterns, the way they process the world, the way they reason. And you're working with a boss, you don't know all of those things about your boss. That is why some people are always complaining about their bosses, because they have not learned how to understand that boss. Of course, there are some bosses that are toxic, okay? Because this is a big conversation. But sometimes it's you that you have not done your diligence in studying and understanding the work environment, the work climate. There's psychology in the office. Psychology. If you don't understand psychology, human behavior, how people act, somebody has just come to the office and they've had a rough day, and that's when you come and want to ask a question. You want to go and, oh, this is why. No, oh, I have to be careful at this moment. When is the best time to present? When is the best time to present the topic? I have a lot of interruptions happening. Can we host? Can you kindly just be muting as I speak so that we minimize the interruptions? So very important. Politics, sociology, psychology. All of these things are in the workplace. And many people, we are not taught these things in our schools. I went to the University of Lagos. I mean, for those of you that went to other schools, there's no course that will teach you emotional intelligence. You have to learn these things when you now start working. And then you realize that you are just always fighting with people. You don't have any friend in the office. You are the one that, The boss doesn't want to just understand you. They always criticize your work. It's because you have to study. That's emotional intelligence. That's part of what we're going to be looking at today. Also, there's pressure in the workplace. Some people have not worked for many years. They are in between jobs. Or maybe you are still in school, university. Or maybe you are just wanting to get into a top organization. But when you get there, let me tell you, one of the things about working with top organizations is that the workload is extremely high. You have to be able to manage pressure, intense pressure, where there are meetings back to back. You can have like 62 meetings a month. You have deadlines that are very strict. Pressure. If you don't have emotional intelligence in dealing with pressure, one day you just shout at your boss, "Hey, leave me alone, I'm tired." And that's why you get queried. And that's why some people, they just, before you know it, they've said something they didn't plan to say because the pressure was so much. Some people will just look, I'm not being a guy, I just resign, I go. Some people are just dealing with the pressure, they are not happy. Some people, they will bring the pressure to home. They will bring pressure home to their families. And it's a family that will now be bearing the burden of managing all the issues they are facing at home, in the office rather. So it's important for us to develop that emotional intelligence because things will happen. You're asking God to promote you. When you get promoted, it comes with extra demands. Where if you do not have emotional intelligence, you would be praying that, look, why did I take this job in the first place? Also, personality. People have different personalities.
Many will see this.
Now, there's personality in the workplace, okay? People, I'm sure you know about the sanguine, melancholic. You have to understand those things. Do you understand your own personality as it were? Have you done a personality test as well? Do you understand the personality style of your boss, of your line manager, of the person that you're working with, of your colleagues? Yeah, people have different personalities in the workplace that if you don't understand how to work with them, that is why people fail at collaboration because they have not mastered personality styles. People fail at collaboration because they have not mastered personality styles. Okay, people fail. They fail at being able to network, connect, share ideas because I don't like that man. I don't like how he talks. That's how he talks. Can you deal with it? Can you build stamina and understand that people are different? People have different personalities and be able to engage and talk. That's emotional intelligence. As I'm sharing all these things, I've not given a definition of emotional intelligence yet. I'm just causing you to see that these things are very specific. Now, last one is perspectives. People have perspectives in the workplace. We are in the advanced age of information. Information age was many years ago, but right now with the advent of artificial intelligence and digital revolution, we're in the advanced stage of the information age. That means people know things quickly. Your 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 5-year-olds, they have access to the internet. And so they know stuff. So when you come into the office, you're a team lead, you are not the sole custodian of knowledge and wisdom. You can't be a leader and then think that everything relies on you. People have perspectives. People have things to say. People have things to contribute. A leader who is emotionally intelligent will be able to gather the feedback and thoughts and perspectives of other people because it's just one feedback away. Somebody who has seen something that you have not seen may just be able to contribute something that will take the company to the next level. But because you are prideful or because you think that you know it all, you will shut that person down, which is a lack of emotional intelligence, and ruin the chance of advancing the company to the next level. Perspectives, being able to listen to people's perspectives without thinking that, this person has to win my position. This person is trying to talk me down. Can you calm down? This is why you need emotional intelligence in the workplace. Okay, I hope I've been able to prove that point. Now let's go into the business of today. What is emotional intelligence? If you look at this image on your screen, because I know we're running out of time, I'll try and cover a lot of things before I close my mouth, okay, and take questions. Can you see a balancing of your heart and your brain? That is just the sole definition of emotional intelligence, okay? We are human beings, we have logic and we have emotion, okay? If you are working with logic alone, you are not emotionally intelligent. If you're working with emotion alone, you are not emotionally intelligent. The balancing of your emotion, which is your heart and your head, okay, that is emotional intelligence. So that when you're making a decision, when you're addressing a situation, when you're leading a team, okay, when you're leading a project, running a project, you're starting a company, you're in a relationship. This is why this is a big conversation when it comes to relationships and marriages. Emotional intelligence, you're making a decision, you have weighed all the different sides, not that somebody offends you right now, and the very first thing that comes to your mind is the first thing you say. No, you processed it. Balancing of your heart, balancing of your brain, so that you are making a holistic decision, okay, from different sides of yourself, a whole self. That is emotional intelligence. So for a definition, this is the definition of emotional intelligence. Very simple definition is your ability to recognize and understand the emotions in yourself and in others, and the ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and manage relationships effectively. Once again, is your ability to recognize and understand the emotions in yourself first, and then the emotions in others, and the ability to use this awareness to manage your behavior and manage relationships effectively. So it's not just about your own emotion. You also manage the emotions of the other people, because in this world, you have people that you interact with. You have colleagues, you have clients, you have friends, you have relatives, you have people in the office, you have people in the church, you have people as neighbors in your work, at home. Okay, you have to be able to manage emotions without unnecessarily fighting. People cannot keep relationships for more than a month. They fought already. Some people, they're always fighting with people. They always don't like perspectives. And sometimes it's not just necessarily because you are fighting, but you are not able to process the perspective of other people and receive sound wisdom. Sometimes the wisdom we need is just in the other person. But because we have not taught it wise to connect with them, then, and which is what emotional intelligence will teach us, then we lose our chances. And that's why when we come into new environments, when we come into new platforms, when you assume a new responsibility, the emotional intelligence will teach you to behave yourself wisely. And that's because we're in a faith setting, okay? This is a church setting, as it were. One of the brilliant people that demonstrated emotional intelligence in the Bible was David, okay? King David. David, if you study the book of 1 Samuel chapter 18, okay, I've never said this anywhere, but because we're in a church setting, I can easily share this, okay, because I'm a man of the word myself. So David behaved himself wisely. That expression, you're going to find it in that chapter at least 3 times. 3 times. David behaved himself wisely. That is one of the clearest definitions of emotional intelligence you can find in the Bible. Behaving yourself wisely. You come into a relationship, behave yourself. I mean, combining that word behave and wisely, I mean, it's something that you almost, because behavior, just think, let me just act based on what I think. No, wisely. You behave yourself wisely in situations, in circumstances, in scenarios, in the offices, as you talk to people, as you interact with people, as you make decisions, behave yourself wisely. Okay, David behaved himself wisely. In fact, in one instance, says David behaved himself more wisely than all the servants of Saul. So this topic is all through scripture, actually, but that's not the subject matter of today. I'm giving you the clear fact, but of course, all the things we know, they are founded in scripture. Scripture existed before any knowledge, okay? The word of God is the clearest definition of anything you ever want to know in this life, okay? Because it has the foundation, okay? The word created everything. But let's go forward now quickly. Now, when we talk about emotional intelligence, there are 4 competencies, okay? And that's what I want to dive into for the next 10, 15 minutes, because remember, this is by no means exhaustive. I need at least 3 hours to do justice to emotional intelligence. But because this is just a short webinar and it's virtual, I'm just going to give you quick points. That's why I said this is more of an assignment. You want to take notes. You want to just, whatever strikes you, we'll take questions at the end. Now, the first competency of emotional intelligence, some people say it's 5, some say it's 4, some say it's 6, but I have limited it to 4. I captured the 5th one in one of the 4. Okay, the first one is called self-awareness, okay? And these are concepts that many of us are familiar with, okay? Self-awareness, okay? And self-awareness answers the questions, how do I feel? What do you know about yourself? How do you feel about a situation? Self-awareness. Second one is self-regulation. Self-regulation answers the question, how do I deal? Now that I know how I feel, how do I deal with this situation? Social awareness is the third one. This one answers the questions, how do you feel? Okay. I feel is self-awareness, but when it's social awareness, it's towards the other person. It's towards the people you're interacting with in the office. How do you feel about the situation? It's not just about me. You're not selfish. You're not self-centered. How do you feel? You bring people along. How do you feel? Social awareness. And then the last one is called relationship management. This talks about how do we seal this deal? Now that I know how you feel, I know how I feel, I know how to deal with how I feel, I know how you feel, and then how do we seal this? How do we build a relationship that is sustained over long periods of time? Now, how do you develop each of these competencies? That's what I want to spend time to talk about, okay? And this is where you want to make notes. This is where you want to pay attention. This is where you want to draw questions that you may have from later on, okay? This is the real deal. How do you develop? Because once you can master these 4 competencies of emotional intelligence, then practice. Remember, I started by saying you have to practice. Okay, as you practice them, you are sharpening yourself. You're sharpening your emotional, because remember, so emotional intelligence and all soft skills, they are transferable skills. Your hard skill, if you're a nurse, if you're a doctor, that's all that you can be. You can't be a doctor in another field. No, doctor, you're a medical doctor. But if you're emotionally intelligent, you can take that into any profession in the world. You can take that as a pastor, you can take that as a teacher, you can take that as a nurse, you can take that as an engineer, because anywhere you have human beings, you need soft skills, you need emotional intelligence. So soft skills are transferable skills. So if you can master all of these 4 competencies and practice, it comes with practice, it's not just knowledge. Okay, you have to practice, even if it's just one of it that you practice. And these are things that you already know, because it's inherent. These are things we already know. That's why I said I'm not going to be sharing some new things. I'm just going to be reminding us of simple practices that are entrenched in scripture, that are entrenched in the Bible, that we just have to now make, because this is what the world is now asking. This is what the world is demanding, that can you bring the original self, the you, so that we can connect more with people, we can collaborate more with people. So many things I want to say, but there's no time. Let's go on quickly. How do you develop self-awareness? Remember, self-awareness is about your character. It's about your feelings. Do you understand your character? Do you understand who you are as a person? Your character, your feelings, your desires, and your motives. What do you desire from life? Who are you? What do you stand for? What is your motivation for joining a company? What is your motivation for getting into that relationship? What is your motivation for being a part, for saying this is the company I want to join? Is it because of the salary? Which is the reason why many people join companies. Because sometimes when the values don't align, that's why there's always a clash. Just the same way in marriage, when values do not align, there's a clash. Same way, the company values do not align. This is not where you see yourself. Where do you see yourself? That's self-aware. If you don't understand who you are as a person, then you cannot maximize your world around you. So who are you? Your character? Do you understand what triggers certain things in you? Do you understand how you feel about certain situations? Do you understand your motives? What drives you? Do you understand your desires? If you don't understand any of these things that I've just talked about, then you need to accurately define yourself, or you need to be aware of yourself by writing it down. Who am I? Who am I about myself? Now, how do you develop self-awareness? Okay. When I was going to start my company 5 years ago, Marquillos Consulting, I did a self-awareness audit. And that's where I started making a lot of money, because I was able to now maximize, okay, this is who I stand for. This is what I see a lot of people doing a lot of things on LinkedIn, positioning themselves. I celebrate you, great work, inspiring work. Sometimes I see them, I'm inspired. But the fact that I see somebody doing something, that doesn't mean that's what I want to do for myself. Sometimes we need to sit down and assess ourselves and say, what am I bringing to this company? You come into a company, people have all kinds of skills, competencies. What are you adding to the company that is making the company go into the next level? Some people can speak well, but if you can't speak well, what can you do? Can you write well? Can you code well? Can you design well? What are you bringing? Self-awareness audits. One of the ways to develop self-awareness is by doing what I call understanding your values and goals, okay? Define your values. What do you stand for? I asked this question already. What do you stand for? Who am I? What do I want to be known for? Where do I see myself in the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? Even if you don't have the big picture or all the details, but at least what do you stand for as a person? Self-awareness. What can you not do? This is why some people go into abusive relationships, because they don't know what they stand for. They go into toxic environments because they don't know what they stand for. What are your values? What can you say no to? What can you say yes to? What do you see yourself achieving in the next 5 years? If you are going to get into a company, does this company align with what you see yourself doing in the next 5 years or 6 years or 7 years? Or is it a step before you go into the next? Why are you in that company? And how long are you going to be in company for? You have to have a plan, a trajectory. If you want to start a company, what is the company going to be about? Well, people are doing all kinds of things, but because they are doing that doesn't mean that is what God is saying you should do. You have to sit down and say, why am I doing what I'm doing? This decision I'm about to make, why? Is it in consonance with what I see about the vision for my life? Understanding your values and goals. Secondly, I'm going very fast in the interest of time. This is very important. Do a SWOT analysis of yourself. Most companies do SWOT analysis for their businesses. Okay, you want to start a new company, you want to start a new project, they do a SWOT analysis. Of course, I'm sure most of us here are familiar with the concept of SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Many businesses do this. But do you know, if you can do a SWOT analysis of yourself, you will never remain the same again. Sit down and say, strengths. What are the things that I'm very good at? Like, look, you can't take this away from me. Throw me in Australia, throw me in Canada, throw me anywhere. This thing will just come alive. These are my strengths. These are the things that when I deploy it, and what you do with your strength is that you keep growing your strength and you keep leveraging it. Leverage your strength. Deploy your strength everywhere you go. It's because I've deployed my strength. Any little opportunity I have to train or speak or write. I have 2 books I've written. I've organized over 50 seminars or webinars I've invited to organize myself in the last 5 years. It has sharpened. I can deliver this session offhand. But because I want it as a guide so you can see it on the screen, that's why I have this guide for you. Because I've developed it over the years. You want to develop your strength so that it can become something that people will spot and say, I like this, what this guy is doing. That's how people come to the fore. When you come to a company, your strength is what you are leveraging. If you are a good speaker in meetings, you speak up. W is your weaknesses. What do you do with your weaknesses? Is either you fix your weaknesses or you avoid them. If you have a weakness, fix those weaknesses, make them a strength, turn your weaknesses into strength. If you can't do that, let's say, for example, I knew it long ago that, look, the world of coding and developing websites is not my own, so I just stay from it. But when I saw that Excel was a weakness, I said, look, I have to learn Excel. Took a lot of courses to amplify that weakness and turn it into a strength. You fix your weakness or you avoid it, depending on the situation you find yourself. And then, of course, opportunities. Opportunities are things that are around you that you want to take advantage of, okay? And that's why your head should not, when you're working in a company, working anywhere, your head should not always be down in that company. Like, oh, let me just be focused on what I'm doing, okay? Be looking out for opportunities. Put your head up also and be looking out for opportunities around you. There are opportunities to take advantage of. We are on social media not just to catch fun, to catch cruise and to know what is happening and watch skits from morning till evening. No, we are on social media to take advantage of opportunities. That's part of the reason. Of course, it's to catch fun, have fun, know what is happening, but see what is changing in the world. Some of the things I've shared with us today, I saw them on social media. I saw it on news and groups that I belong to. I said, capture this. Or what are the opportunities, training opportunities, internship opportunities that you see opportunities? What do you do with opportunities? You take advantage of them. You use them, you utilize them. The last one is threats. What are threats? Threats are things in the environment that stand a chance, okay, of nullifying you and rendering you relevant, okay? For example, COVID-19 was a threat. Nobody saw it coming, okay? What are threats? How do you ensure that threats do not make you redundant in the workplace, okay? For example, ChatGPT was a threat to the business of many people. What do you do with threats? Threats is that you have to predict threats. You have to see threats in advance and nullify them or position yourself so that it doesn't affect you, okay? When you do this about yourself, do a SWOT analysis. Look, you're going to become a machine. You're going to become a machine that cannot be easily replaced because the human mind is also a machine. You're a machine. Okay, you're a machine. People, the AIs of this world cannot replace you if you know who you are, if you know your worth. Because many people don't know their worth, that's why they're easily replaced. Like I told you, 90% of staff in a company in India were replaced by machines. Now, of course, that came with a lot of reactions across the world globally. But of course, I saw that coming. I mean, businesses now are relying a lot on AI. And so if you're a staff of a company, how are you ensuring that, look, regardless of the changes in my environment or in society, I'm constantly thinking ahead. I'm thinking, okay, what if there comes a time when everything I have, all the skills I have right now, a machine can do it. There's nothing else. What else can I contribute? What else can I contribute to my world? That's what you think like that. This is part of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is not just about managing your emotions. It's about also thinking ahead, planning ahead, bringing your best self to the table. Last point on social awareness, understand your HALT. What do you mean by HALT? Okay, HALT is an acronym for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Hungry means your passion. What are you hungry about? What are your passions? Of course, it means hungry. When you're hungry, what do you want to eat? Okay, but also, what do you see about life? What are you passionate about? And are you passionate about education? Are you passionate about global policy? Are you passionate about finance? Are you passionate about economics or sports? Whatever it is, name it. What am I passionate about? What am I hungry about? And when I'm hungry, what does my hunger? What does it do to me? How does it affect me? So people, when they are hungry now, physically hungry now in the office, they can't think, they can't reason. They can't plan, they can't make straight decisions. I used to work with a boss that was like that. When she's hungry like this, you can be anything. But beyond physical hunger, and we're talking about your hunger, your thirst for, what are you looking to, what meaning are you looking to live? What impact are you looking to live? What legacy are you looking to live in this world? Angry, when you get angry, do you understand what gets you angry? Both positive anger and negative anger. What gets you angry about the world? What do you want to change in the world, in our society? Or when you are angry, how do you manage your anger? We're still going to talk about that a little. Do you understand what triggers your anger? Loneliness, when you are lonely, what are you mostly susceptible to? What are the temptations that come when you are lonely, when you're by yourself? This is singlehood, man. I can talk about it. When you're lonely, some people, and there's no partner, I want to get married. When you're lonely, what are those tendencies that come? You have to document it because those are the things that the enemy, the devil also is on rampage. The devil is also doing his work 24/7, never sleeping, knowing all these things about you. And the devil has been existent long before time started. So he knows all the weaknesses of man possible. And he's taking advantage. So you also know about yourself and be able to position yourself, avoid certain things, prevent certain things, and all of that. What are the tendencies? And then tired. When you get tired, what are the tendencies as well? Some people, when they get tired, when they lose motivation, they want to quit. Okay, what gets you tired? How do you manage tiredness? How do you deal with tiredness? Write these things. These are assignments. These are assignments I told us about. In the interest of time, let's go quickly to the next one, self-regulation. What is self-regulation? This is simply about regulating your motives, regulating what you know about yourself, regulating your emotions, regulating your thoughts, regulating your behavior. What do you think about? Are you able to regulate it? What do you reflect on? Are you able to regulate it? How do you behave in certain situations? Are you able to regulate it? That is about self-regulation. And quickly, how do you develop self-regulation? Number one, I talk about managing the 3 T's. Managing the 3 T's. These are strategies. Remember that I talk about strategies, and that's why I ask you to document them, because they will become important in your career journey. Okay, anybody who is emotionally intelligent has learned how to regulate themselves, and they regulate the following 3 things about themselves. Number one, they regulate their time. Managing your time is very essential. How do you remove energy depleting activities from your life? How do you ensure that you treat your life like a project? Because it is a project. You have 40 hours a week, a work week, you have at least 40 hours in a week. How do you ensure that your life is a project? You have a sheet, an Excel sheet where you're documenting your life and the things you want to achieve. That's managing your time. Some people, you just spend hours. People spend hours. Managing your time is a skill. Very important. Managing your time. So we need to learn how to ensure that we treat our life like a project. In managing our time, we ensure that we document exactly what we want to achieve, the time frame it will take, how long it will take, and exactly what you want to make of it. Because if you don't manage your time, other people will manage your time for you. The world is always suggesting things that they want us to do. So time management, essential. I mean, that's another 2-hour session I can't go into right now. Secondly, you have to manage what is called your talent. Okay, when you come into a company, you have to be intentional about your professional growth and development. Okay, you have to be actively looking for opportunities to grow and develop. You don't leave that to the HRs and leave that to your line manager, leave that to your boss and say, "Oh, I'm not learning anything." You have to be active. How are you leveraging online platforms like LinkedIn, for example, a professional platform? You are talented, you are gifted, you have the skill, you have this competency. How are you able to leverage that talent, that skill in a world that is seeking for it? How are you able to put your ideas in a book and make it sell? How are you able to position yourself on your social media? How can you turn your talent into profit? Managing your talent, very crucial. That's another big conversation I can't get into. Then lastly, you have to be able to manage your temper. Wow. This one is the biggest conversation when it comes to emotional intelligence. Okay, when you come into a workplace, your bosses, your superiors, and line managers expect you to deploy your brain to get the job done. They expect you to deploy your sense of reason to win clients over, to get results, to achieve things. But guess what? Many times, your temper will tamper with your sense of reason. Did you get that? Your temper will always tamper with your sense of reason many times, especially when you're working with individuals, working with human beings. And if you have not mastered how to manage your temper, then you are in for some exciting negative experiences in the future. Because temper, people will get you angry, people will step on your toes, people will step on you, will hurt you, people will step on your toes, people get on your nerves, and things will happen. So if you have not mastered how to manage your temper, and in managing your temper, very simple. Okay, this is one of the tricks that, well, not a trick, but this is one of the principles that is shared when it comes to emotion management. When somebody gets you angry, something aggravates you, can you react? Okay, can you respond? Don't react. Respond, don't react. Be mindful. If you look at this simple table here, it talks about stimulus or emotion in the first part, and then there's mindfulness before response. But the second one says stimulus, then immediately is a reaction. If you want to manage your temper, you have to carve out that mindfulness phase before you respond. If you are not mindful before you do something, you're going to be reacting and not responding. But if somebody says something, somebody sends you a hurtful mail or says something negative that really gets you angry, pause, reflect, and then give a response. That response has been processed by your emotions, has been processed by your brain, and then you're giving a holistic, a Christian response that is filled with the fruit of the Spirit. Because if you don't have that pause where you are mindful about what is happening before you give that reaction, there is going to be a reaction, and that can escalate. Okay, like the Holy Book says, a gentle word, okay, turns away strife. That gentle word does not come easily, brothers and sisters. That gentle word has to be processed, you have to calm down sometimes. Okay, because sometimes you just want to react, you want to give them back, especially if you are gifted with the gift of gab. Okay, you want to give back. And that's why this famous philosopher says, between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space, okay, you have power to choose that. How do I want to react to the situation? How do I want to respond? What do I want to say in this email? Don't just react, respond. And also, how do you manage yourself, which is self-regulation? You have to guard your motivation. Motivation is like fuel. When fuel runs out of a car, no matter how fine the car is, no matter how expensive the car is, when there's no fuel in the car, you can't take the car anywhere. That's the same way motivation is. That's the same thing motivation is to a human being. Once you lose your sense of motivation, you are just a zombie going to that job back and forth, back and forth. There's no drive, there's no motivation, there's no excitement. Okay, you want to guard your motivation. When you start working somewhere, start doing something anywhere, guard your motivation with all sense of jealousy, because that's where your energy is coming from. When you lose motivation, you lose energy, you lose passion, you lose excitement. Your creativity is going to be zero because there's no motivation. There's no desire to want to do more or go the extra mile. How do you guard your motivation? Motivation has the tendency to drop in three phases of your life. The first phase you have the tendency for motivation to drop is in the planning phase, when you are planning a project or when you are starting something, okay? Or when you're starting a relationship, you have to plan it properly. Motivation can drop there because that desire to start is not even there. You are not motivated. How do you ensure that you don't lose your motivation even at the point of starting? Number one is that you have to draft a vision. Draft a vision and then organize the vision. That's the planning phase. Anything you want to start in this life that is hard or difficult, okay? This is emotional intelligence I'm talking about here. Anything that you want to draft that is difficult, that is, just make it clear. Write the vision, make it plain upon the table, it says in the books, okay? And then organize it. Many people, they don't know where they are going to. That's why they are losing motivation. They can't see the future. And so if you don't have a vision for your life, your motivation is going to be dropped. It's going to be at all-time low. And then organize the vision, make it clear. Okay, this is what we want to achieve. Because people, there are a lot of things you want to do, but because it is not clearly stated, the timelines are not clearly stated, the things you want to do are not clearly stated, then even from the phase of planning, motivation has already died. Now, let's say you overcome the phase of motivation, the phase of planning, and your motivation is very high. The second phase that you have a tendency to lose motivation is the phase of execution. You have already drafted all these beautiful things and all that you want to do. Then let's go out and start doing it. The phase of execution is also a big phase where your motivation, because there's a lot of things happening. You've already started working, but the results are not coming. You know, things are taking time the results are taking time to show up. If you are executing and you want to sustain your motivation, one thing you can do is to ensure that you celebrate small wins. Celebrate small wins, no matter how little the thing is, no matter how small. Any small thing you achieve, celebrate it. No matter how small it is, just say, okay, I'm making progress. This is good, okay? Encourage yourself. Remember what it says about David encouraging himself in the Lord. That is motivation. Any little thing that happens, because sometimes people wait to achieve the big things, the big results before they say, they're waiting, they're looking at somebody else that is doing something big. And they're saying, no, me, I'm not doing it as much as this other person. They are comparing. They that compare themselves with themselves. Bible says what? They are not wise. Okay, you don't come, you celebrate the little thing you are doing, the little opportunity you have there. Because if you don't do that, the enemy will attack your motivation. And when your motivation is attacked, you lose every sense of wanting to go further. Now, after, of course, in the execution phase, if you have successfully overcome the execution phase, then the last phase is about the post-execution. You're doing it. Everybody else says a project, okay? You have overcome that project, and then how do you move from project to project? Or from one season of a job to another job? Or when, let's say, in a relationship setting, now you're in a relationship, how do you move from year 1 of relationship to year 2, from dating to marriage? That motivation, how do you go beyond from marriage to childhood to childbirth and parenting, all of those things? Post-execution phase, number one, you have to constantly rewrite the vision, constantly edit the vision. Many people have visions that are already stale. You have to always go back to God. Thank God I can say God here because it's a Christian setting. I don't usually do that in other settings, but we are Christians here and I'm excited about it. Go back to for a clearer vision. Like, look, make this clear again. Make this, let me see this again. Because there are changes in your environment that also necessitate that you go back to him for a sharper vision, sharper clarity. Then he will suggest a scripture to you. Or you can also read books. One of the most, how would I put it now, ignored ways of developing motivation is by reading. Okay, whenever I'm in between jobs, which I have had to be in different times in my life, okay, I'm in between jobs, maybe 2 months, 3 months, I read a lot. I read wide. I'm studying. Anything I study excites me. See, this is what's happening here. Look, is what is changing. AI in education. See how people are leveraging AI. Oh, finance in education. See how people are funding organizations. These are the strategies for funding organization agencies. Whole child education. As I'm reading those things, my energy level is increasing. I'm excited so that when opportunity comes, when they call me for an interview, I'm sounding smart at the level of the interviewer. It's not I'm just sitting down, just waiting for a job to come. No, as you read, your motivation level is increasing. You're getting smart. God is showing you more things. You are seeing more things in the world. You are using the terminologies they're using. When the opportunities come, you're able to take advantage. Wow. So that's self-regulation. Wow. Let's move on quickly about social awareness. This one is very straightforward, okay? Social awareness. Now, social awareness is simply about connecting with people without being awkward. Connecting with people without, some people can connect, but they will be awkward about it. And they will just, this person, I don't want to talk, this guy, the way he does, he wants to talk, he wants to do everything, he wants to shake you, he wants to slap you, he wants to do everything because they don't know how to be, be socially aware, be sensitive to other people's interests, just be connecting without being awkward, sustaining relationships. That's what social awareness is about. You go into a group, go into a setting. How do you ensure that you are socially aware? First of all, quick principle, because time is running very quickly. Know people's name and greet them by their name. Somebody's name is the most important thing to them. These are simple principles, really. Okay, some people can't master people's names, and that's so sad. If you don't know my name, then you can't connect with me and be able to spell their name correctly. Somebody's name is the most important and most personal thing to them. So if you call somebody by name, suddenly they will look at you and they want to say, who is this person that called me? Because you have already established a connection. So one of the things you want to do is ensure that you know people's name. Be intentional. If you want to write it out somewhere. If you want to connect it to something that you saw somewhere, connect it to so that you can remember it. Because somebody's name that you remember and you call them by that, it just helps you to open a door, okay, in their heart. It just opens a door in their heart and you're able to strike a conversation. Number 2 is understand body language. Body language is so important, so pivotal, okay, when it comes to being socially aware. You're working with a boss and you know that when this boss crosses his legs, he doesn't want to talk to anybody. You're working with a boss and when this boss says ABC, it means that, look, start the project right now. You have to understand body language. The body language sometimes is about the facial expression. It's about tone of the voice. When the boss is saying something in a meeting, the person is able to grab that thing fast. There's a course on understanding your boss that I always teach sometimes. How to understand your boss. Okay, you understand the body language, and not just your boss, your colleagues, your partners in relationships, people you work with, people you relate with, your family members. You understand their body language. Sometimes it's just a twitch of the eye, twitch of the nose, a twitch of the hair, and you just want to, this is what this person means. You have mastered body language. Some people, you don't need them to say everything before they know what they are doing, before they know what they are saying you should do. That is how to develop social awareness. And then you just react and do some certain things, and they have not said it, but you have already caught it. And when you do it, they will see, this guy is smart. This guy. They will be looking out for it. This guy knows, this guy is diligent. That's social awareness, because you have studied them to a point where you already understand that this person reacts a certain way. You understand their body language. You understand that when this person comes in the morning, they're always grouchy. So you don't go there and present a meeting to them. You don't go and present a proposal to them. You know that when they come into a meeting, they want you to turn on your video. You already know that. And then you get into that meeting, you don't turn on your video. You know that you are causing wala already. You know that boss always likes to scream whenever they are talking. And it doesn't mean they hate you. You just understand that body language. that you understand how people this is sociology, social interactions. And then the last one is be empathetic. Be empathetic. Okay, this is how to improve social awareness. Okay, you are not an island. Okay, you connect and relate with other people in the world. Okay, they are individuals around the world where there are people, they know stuff, they are going through stuff, they are going through tough times, they have family, they have situations in their lives that are beyond the work that they do. So you have to be empathetic, you step into their shoes. This is not about sympathy. When you are being empathetic, you practice what I call the 3 A's. I developed this concept when I was the director of schools for Bridge International Academies, about 46 schools in Nigeria. I mean, I left the role sometime last year. And I mean, it was a tough job because we're working with parents in their thousands that can literally just stand up and shout and scream and say all kinds of things because they feel entitled that why should this happen? So there was a situation where that happened in one of the schools that I had to go and intercede, and I had to go and intervene and talk to the parents. A group of 20, 25 parents were seated angry that teachers were not teaching where things were not happening and they were angry. Who is this director? Who is this and all of that? In that situation, you need high level of emotional intelligence. Otherwise, the situation can just escalate. Parents can start withdrawing their students from school and saying, we are not doing it again. So how do you manage such situations as a leader, as a person? Be empathetic to their realities. One of the things I did, the 3 A's, number one is to acknowledge. You acknowledge that, look, we're wrong. You start, because you might remember a gentle word turns away strife, but you have to convert that scripture into tangible things that can be practiced. Acknowledge them. When you go into any setting, acknowledge the person who has invited you. Acknowledge the fact that they have a problem and they have an issue. So I got there and told them, we acknowledge that this is wrong and this is not what we promised you. And you are justified to be showing your displeasure. It shows that you're interested in the growth and the well-being of your student, of your children. I acknowledge them. Second thing I did was to appreciate them. I thanked them for coming, for leaving their jobs. I appreciated them. I said, well, thank you for enrolling your child in this school, for paying their school fees. I appreciated them. Imagine their minds already coming down as I'm saying that, because we're already high. So I was bringing it down. That's what you do in emotional intelligence. You don't meet fire with fire. You just escalate the matter. I appreciated them. And then, of course, after that, I preferred the solution. I suggested the solution, and then I apologized. We're sorry. This is not what we promised you. And then, of course, this is what we're going to do about it. And then everybody calmed down. They started shaking hands with me. They were happy. I doused the fire. That is what you do in emotional intelligence. Any situation, of course, is tough. It takes practice. But you have to be able to enter into their shoes and feel their pain. If you're a parent and there are no teachers in the school of the children, how do you feel about that? And then you're able to provide a solution, able to calm them down. You're not saying, who are these people? Wow, rubbish. Come, leave me. Don't shout. Why are you shouting? Are you the only parents in this school? Look at other schools. That's not how. You just lose all kinds of things. And that happens a lot in workplaces. You just lose clients. You lose businesses. Some people just simple how to react, just chat. Once you chat with people, polite, be civil, be empathetic. You don't know what this person is going through. Don't say rude remarks, all of those kind of things. They go a long way. Now, quickly, relationship management. This is the last one, because there's something I still want to do before I round off. Okay? Relationship management. Number one, this is about sustaining relationships over longer periods of time. Some people can't be in a relationship for more than 5 years. I'm not talking about romantic relationship now. Friends, maybe you're just friends, but they would have fought, they would have lost contact. And maybe that person now becomes somebody significant in life. That's when they will now start reaching out. I know that guy. How about you? Especially strategic relationships that you know that these relationships, okay, initiate conversations. Sometimes send a chat, send a message, react. For example, my friend and I now, Bishop Joel Oshoba, celebrating, we always chat on Instagram, always sending me funny stuff. That's their own way of staying in touch. We may never see for a long time, but intermittently we pick a call and we talk and chat. Because you know that these are destiny friends, these are people you want to keep in your life. Not that when you have a problem, it's when you now initiate conversation. You now say, hello, these are we initiate conversations. On their birthdays, celebrate them. When they post on social media, like it or do something, especially strategic relationships. Initiate conversations with people. Some people are not good at that. They can't manage relationships over 20 years, over 30 years. And when those people are now, they are now assume strategic relationship, strategic positions in the future, they now want to start taking advantage and say, I know this person, let me curry a favor from this person. No. You have not done your due diligence in managing relationships over the long haul. Then you can reap the benefits of that. Relationships, I can't go into that. Powerful. Some doors cannot open without relationships. Okay, it's not every door that opens with money. Money can't buy anything. You have to prioritize network over net worth. Prioritize network over network. It's not just about money. It's about relationships. Some businesses that you do them for free because you want to have a relationship with that person. Some things you do, you just do it for free because you want to have a relationship. You want to be in their good books so that when it's time, if there's ever time at all, you will have you at the back of their mind. So initiate conversations. Number 2, be a good listener. I have a training session on listening skills. It's a big deal. Listening skill is one of the biggest skills that you can ever master. If you want to be an expert, professional, and you want to be emotionally intelligent, sometimes shut up and just allow the person to talk. Practice listening and just listen to them, listen to their problems. Some people will come to you every time just because you're always quiet to listen to them. You may not even offer a solution. You may not even say anything, but you ask intelligent questions. Listening is not just about keeping quiet. Sometimes it's about asking intelligent questions, follow-up questions. Okay, what do you think about this? Oh, this is what happens. Okay. So and then you say certain things and then they just want to always come back to you because you listen to them. This is how to build relationships. The people that you listen to more, they are most likely and most certainly will always want to come back to you because they just like the fact that this person listens to me. They want to suggest, they want to bring their matters to you every time. And then thirdly is collaboration. Understand collaboration. You can't live this life alone, okay? You can't do this life, you can't do things alone by yourself. Anything you know that you can do by yourself and you can achieve it by yourself, involve somebody else. That's collaboration. Even if you can't, I'm the master, I'm the Lord of all. You're a team leader. I know every aspect of this project. There's nothing. No, carry your team alone. Collaboration. The world thrives on collaboration. Because guess what? One day you'll be sick. One day you'll be ill. You are not, one day, even if you're not ill, you would go and leave. You'll be on vacation. Do you want to be the only person that knows the work and know everybody's now subject to you? One day you will leave the job. Collaboration means you are sharing knowledge. That's where knowledge sharing comes into play. That's why I do things for free, because I want people to know the world is going to be a better place if we all know things. We're all smarter. Collaboration. Don't hoard knowledge and say, I'm the only one. No. Collaborate. Because as you're doing that, you're also learning from other people, learning from perspectives, learning from worldviews. Now, these are the 4 competencies of emotional intelligence. How does these, how do these 4 competencies, how do they play out in the world of work, okay? How do you practice this in practicality? I have just about 10 minutes to do this. I know I started my session around 6:20. So I'm permitted to go to 2:45 thereabout instead of 2:40. Yeah, because we started much later. So let me just wrap this up. This is the action, quick fire points. These are scenarios where you need to demonstrate emotional intelligence at the high level. Number 1, whenever you are dealing with new environments, new relationships, and new privileges. Okay? For example, look at this story now. Look at this story. John graduated top of his class with a first class in economics and has just landed a job to lead the sales department of a thriving IT firm in Lagos. He has 7 people reporting to him, one of whom was the interim head of the sales department before John was recruited. How should John approach his work in the first 2 months of resumption? Okay, there's another one here. Tola was recently promoted from manager to senior manager position. She now oversees 5 staff members who were once her colleagues on the same level. How should Tola conduct herself in the first few months of her promotion? If you are prideful here, you will lose everything. Okay? Emotional intelligence is very key in this kind of settings. When you enter into a new position, new environment, you have to demonstrate high levels of emotional intelligence. What should you do? Number 1, demonstrate humility, be humble. Okay, even Jesus was humble. Who are you not to be humble? Humility is one of the highest demonstrations of emotional intelligence. When you get into a new workplace, people are looking at you. Demonstrate competence, but more importantly, demonstrate humility. Want to learn from other people. Study your environment. Know the politics, know the power players in the environment. Know who calls the shots. Okay, listen and observe. Okay, don't, even if you have the highest qualification, you have an MBA. Okay, in one of the best schools, still listen to the janitor that has been there for 10 years, who doesn't know anything about business, but can tell you certain things. Listen, observe, new environment, and then of course acknowledge people. You are in a new environment. Oh wow, that's a great thought, great presentation, great, because people are looking at you, they are looking at how you're reacting, they are looking, and that's how you win people. That's how you draw. You become a person of influence. I read a book one time by John Maxwell, Becoming a Person of Influence. Powerful book. One of the ways you do that is by acknowledging people, listen to people. You acknowledge their little contributions. It's not the one I just say, that's a very terrible suggestion. Go and think better about it. No, That's not emotionally intelligent, okay? So in new environment, you have to demonstrate these things. Second scenario, when you're managing difficult bosses and colleagues, okay? Look at this example now. For example, Toyosi's boss and line manager gets angry at the slightest provocations. You turn in a report late, you're insulted. You come a second late for meetings, you are lashed at viciously. You make a mistake while presenting, the criticism is not constructive, but almost makes you want to quit the job. How should Toyosi manage a boss effectively without losing a cool, getting fired, or resigning, which is what most people do. They just resign. Another example, Toby has a team member who rarely contributes to conversations, hardly connects with anyone, gets offended easily at the slightest feedback on areas he needs to improve on. How should Toby manage this team member? It's not everything that you should get angry or resign about. It's not everything that you should always shout and scream. What are you not doing? One of the things you can do is by practicing social awareness that I've just talked about. Understand this person. Know what triggers them. Know their background. Connect with them beyond the work. Know what they do at home. Number two, for your boss who is a toxic boss. Some bosses are toxic, and definitely sometimes you have to quit the job and leave because it's affecting your sanity and mental health. And people say, but sometimes the problem is you. You have not developed thick skin. So sometimes you need to develop thick skin. It's not something everybody that somebody says to you that should get you angry. Develop thick skin. So people just say things because they just what they see. They're not necessarily referring to you in that situation. But some people, they will sulk all day. They will carry it to the next day, the next meeting. When the meeting comes, another meeting happens the next day, they are still thinking about what the boss said the previous day. And so they are responding and reacting based on what the boss said the previous day, and even sometimes weeks after. Develop thick skin. Don't be a child. That's what happens sometimes. You have to mature and just remove whatever, all of those things that will make you meditating and reflecting on things that have passed. Move on and bounce back and move on and develop thick skin. For your colleague that is not acting well as well, develop patience and tolerance. You want to learn. You want to study them. What is the problem? Ask questions. Okay. You want to give them personal feedback. Okay, tell them, okay, this is this thing that is going on. Give them evaluative, give them a formal appraisal and say, this thing here, don't just overlook it. Because sometimes people will join just, well, that's how I can't do, you're not a strong leader. Emotional intelligence leaders, okay, give them a formal appraisal about it. Even though you are being balanced, you're not insulting them, you make it formal. Give them personal feedback. I do not like what you are saying about this. And don't make it personal, make it about the job. Okay, you don't insult them directly. You talk about what they are doing related to what the work is about, not just you are stupid. No. This thing that you did here is inaccurate, and you explain it clearly, okay? These are the ways to manage difficult situations sometimes, okay? I can't go into details because of time. And then, of course, on age, okay, whenever you are leading and the person you are leading or the people you are leading are older than you, on age, respect, and leadership is also another big scenario where you have to demonstrate emotional intelligence. So, for example, like look at this situation, for example, okay? Johnson leads a team of 10 and all of them are at least 7 to 15 years older than him. Given that he works in a work climate where respect is a big deal, okay? How should he get work done? Push his team by still showing them respect, okay? And of course, look at this other one. Isioma is a 40-year-old sales executive who has to report to a female line manager who is 28 years old. How should she manage herself in this context? Emotional intelligence. What should you do? Number one, very important for you to carry people along and seek perspectives, okay? Don't be the smart one. Don't say because I'm the boss now I have to lead. These are people that they have age on their side. You have to respect them. Number two, lead by example. Even though they are younger than you or older than you, whichever situation, if you're a leader of people that are older than you, have been in that situation all my life, having to lead people that are way older, 40-year-old, sometimes I lead them 40 years older than I am. Lead by example. Be the first person to do what you're saying they should do. Lead by example. Then number two, honor people. The culture of honor should be there. These are things that will help to create a culture where they don't feel hostile. It's not hostile. The environment is not toxic. This person honors me. Even my age. In Nigeria, for example, especially in the southwest part of Nigeria, honor is a big deal. Okay, you want to honor them. Of course, you are not subservient to them, not because they are older than you now. Yes. No. You are still the leader, but in your words, in your tone, in the way you acknowledge them, honor. Very important. Then, of course, respect yourself. Respect yourself. Carry yourself with respect. That's why Paul would tell Timothy, okay, carry yourself with respect. Okay, not in that exact words, in those exact words, but you carry yourself with respect. Okay, see yourself. He was a leader as a teenager. Was leading a church of thousands. Okay, and then you carry yourself with respect, no matter your age. Okay, and that's what people begin to say. This person, they respect you for that. Another example is when you're collaborating and you're doing teamwork. Okay, I can't go into all these scenarios because we're out of time. You also have to demonstrate emotional intelligence. Highly skilled, you're the only one that knows the work. but you have to demonstrate emotional intelligence, okay? Train your team, delegate, celebrate the contribution of other people, no matter how small, okay? And of course, when you are listening to people too, you have to demonstrate emotional intelligence. Some people don't know how to listen effectively, and they have issues in their offices, okay? When you're engaging people in the office, you are talking to people, somebody is presenting, your boss is presenting, like Sarah, for example, a line manager always complained that you don't listen to me, but she thought she was listening. And then she got a formal appraisal about that, and look, you don't listen. How do you demonstrate listening skills, okay? You have to read up about listening skills. You have to get feedback from other people. Get feedback from the environment. Don't be anti-feedback from people in your environment. Get feedback from your colleagues, from friends. Assess me. Give me honest feedback. Then read about listening skills, which is a 2-hour session I do. It's a big one. Then improve your body language and facial expression. Some people, when they are listening like this, it doesn't seem as though they are listening. Even though they are listening, their eyes are somewhere else. When you are listening to people, look at them. That's your gesticulation, mannerisms, everything should be looking at. Those things encourage your speaker, encourage your leader, that's how to demonstrate listening skills. Okay, it's a skill. And of course, empathy. Put yourself in the person's shoes. The person you are listening to, if you are acting the way, if they are acting the way you are acting, when you are speaking, then of course, you know that this is not how I should be acting. Okay, put yourself in their shoes and you'll be a better listener. Some of the other areas I could have covered would be include managing stress and staying motivated, being flexible in terms of change. I could cover this extensively as well. And then of course, speaking professionally and with courtesy. These are some of the areas that would demonstrate emotional intelligence, okay? High levels that you have to pay attention to. Some of the further training recommendation I would say, which I have, effective communication skills, art of public speaking. Okay, you want to do a personality test. All of these are done by my organization if you're interested. I also have a book, okay, and a course. So the book is the one in yellow here on your left. Okay, that's the Missing Link of Education. Excellent book on 5 soft skills, okay? There's an e-version, okay? And then the soft skills toolkit, this is a course on emotional intelligence, not just emotional intelligence, soft skills in general is a pack of course, pre-recorded training with all the accoutrements, okay? There's leadership, emotional intelligence, creativity, adaptability, about 7 courses like that on soft skills. And it's also available for purchase, okay? Once you have that, you can practice and learn and watch these things again. Most of the things I shared here are covered there. Okay, rounding off right now, so you can follow me on social media. I say a lot of things about emotional intelligence and soft skills generally, leadership, education. These are some of the things I cover. So follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm not on Threads yet. I'm a late adopter, so I'm still waiting to know the right time to join Threads. But yeah, I'm on all these other platforms, LinkedIn, Peace Bamdele, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at @askpeace_. I'll be glad to connect with you and we can continue the conversation from there. Please rate me on Maquilos. I'll drop this link in the chat room as we begin to take questions. So you can just rate what you have learned today. How did you find this training? I've been the one talking all day. I know I will open the room for questions now, but please go to this link. I will drop it in the chat room shortly, but if somebody can already do that, I would appreciate that. So just rate my performance because it's very important to give feedback for what you've learned. Did you find it useful? Did you find it something you can utilize in your workplace? I'll be glad to hear from you after now. If you want to reach out to me, these are my contact details in terms of email. Shoot me an email, askpeace@maquilosconsulting.com. Okay, askpeace@maquilosconsulting.com. And then, or you can also send bamdele@gmail.com. I want to say thank you for the time. Our time is fast spent.
Awesome.
Take questions right now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for thank you for the presentation. I don't know if you can hear me, Peace, because I can see your video is frozen on my hand.
Can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I mean, it's time for Q&A. And I hope that people who have been, taking note of questions that they may have. This is such an interesting topic. I mean, I've learned a lot. In fact, as Peace was making the presentation, I called to mind a scenario at my former job where I'm now, in retrospect, I'm now like, maybe I could have handled it better. I was a team lead, and so I had some junior colleagues working on a project with me. And, one of the junior colleagues, so she wasn't she wasn't delivering, basically, she wasn't delivering what was expected of her, but we were good friends. Like, she was such a sweet person, really nice, really kind, So, I mean, I've been trying to manage, my friendship with her and our ability to deliver on the project. But, until the project manager then called me and said, why didn't this person do this thing? Well, blah, 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 who did this? Oh, I'm like, well, as a team lead, I had to take responsibility. It was like, which of the team members actually wrote the slide, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I had to tell him the person. And then it was like, please give our feedback. So at the organization, like, we document our feedback as part of performance rating. So when you work on a project, like, the team lead has to give the junior colleague feedback, and then the manager will give the team lead feedback, blah, blah, like that. So he then told me to do like a formal feedback, for this person. And, at the end of the feedback, because I had to bring their performance manager into the feedback. So I felt like the person, the person felt like, because we were friends, maybe, I was being harsh on them, but, so like, I want to know, when you're talking about emotional intelligence, so how do you balance, not being emotional and emotional intelligence? I don't know if you get what I mean. How they tell you that, when you are doing business deals or when you're at work, they will be, it's not an emotional thing. We are just trying to get the job done. Take emotions out of it. So, like, how do you find a balance in not being emotional, but also being an emotionally intelligent person?
Yes.
Do you understand my question?
Very much. It's a very brilliant
Yeah.
question. It's a common one. There are a lot of things I can say about that question, but I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'll just say one thing or two things. First off, beyond what you say is how you say it. Very important. Beyond what you say, because many people are quick to say things, but they don't take the extra effort of saying, how should I say this in an emotionally intelligent way? Okay, you want to give feedback to a client or to a colleague, and then you want to sit down and process it very well and say, okay, how best can I say this, knowing who this person is, knowing their backgrounds, knowing what they have contributed to the growth of this company, no matter whatever you want to present or whatever you want to say as feedback to them. Then you want to analyze and say, okay, beyond what I want to say, maybe you want to say, okay, this person has not done well, these are the things we have found out about you. Then you want to go an extra mile and say, how should I say it? And you determine how by the words you choose. Okay, many people don't go the extra mile of being intentional about the words, being intentional about each word, because these people, they will go back and read those words again and they'll be weeping and all of that. So you want to be careful about choosing words that reflect, especially knowing the kind of person, people they are. Some people can just break down, some people can just quit. Okay, knowing their level of maturity. That's number one. Number two, of course, I think I already hinted that, is to know their backgrounds, okay, know where they are coming from, find something that you can appreciate about them. Okay, when you're giving feedback to any person, I couldn't get there, there's something called the sandwich approach. Some of us are already familiar with that. Sandwich approach means that, of course, at the top of a sandwich, you have the bread or whatever that is, and then you are in between, you have the sausage, and then you have bread on that. Okay, now the top part of the bread is you give somebody a commendation. Okay, you thank them for such and such that they have done. There's nobody that is useless. Okay, everybody has something that they have contributed to a team, to a group, to an organization. So you want to thank them for that first, and then you want to know. So the first one is commendation. Okay, and then the second one is recommendation. Okay, you give them a recommendation, which is a feedback. Okay, you say, okay, this and that these are the areas of improvement. Okay, and then you don't put a but after the commendation. You don't put a but. You put, okay, in addition to some of them, there's a way about the words, okay, and I can give templates for that. And then you now close out with another commendation. We do appreciate all the things you've done for this office. Those are not the exact words, I'm just giving an example. So the sandwich approach always works. So, and the first thing I said is about ensuring that not just the what, many relationships have ended because people only prioritize what they wanted to say, not how they would say it. Okay, you can be angry and you are justifiably right to be angry, because situations will happen that will cause you to be angry, or that will cause you to not be happy about what somebody is doing in the office. But then you have to now go the extra mile to say, how should I say this thing in a way that is holistic, in a way that is that improves the person, that makes them want to see that, okay, this is a good thing. It's balanced. So let me end there.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's very important. Yeah, and I can allude to, what you were saying about the importance of emotional intelligence at the workplace today. I mean, I know, some people may think that, what is emotional intelligence? But it's actually very, very important. Where I currently work now, when I was applying to join the team, I remember the executive director of the team. I had finished the interview process, so I was already talking. HR had told me that, you were successful, but he then came back and said, you know what? There's a last part. The executive director told me that he wants to engage the person they want to hire to understand if they will fit the dynamics, the team dynamics. They want someone who will continue to help ensure that the team and the environment is conducive for other people. People want to join the team, that everybody's happy, and it was really interesting for me because I wasn't expecting that, but it showed the importance of emotional intelligence. And the kind of questions he was asking me where, they were not technical questions. So, and you said it, that aside your technical skills, what else are you bringing to the table? Okay, I'll just go to my next question. But before that, please quickly, housekeeping. Damilare, Samson, can you please give hosting rights back to Joel or Shoba? If you can hear me, please do that. So my next question is, so for people that work in teams, people that are junior members, it's easy to leave the emotional intelligence part to the manager and be like, the manager that should care about, or that should be, trying to make everybody conducive. Or, I mean, do you have tips for, people subordinate, like people that have, everybody has a manager, almost everybody has a manager. Even if you are the CEO, you have a board that you may be reported to. So, like, for you as the junior colleague in a relationship, like, how can you be emotionally intelligent also to your manager, to your superiors?
Excellent question. I'll give you an example. So about a year ago, I was a Director of Schools Nigeria for Bridge International Schools Nigeria, and we have such schools also in Kenya. So they also have their own director in Kenya. They also have their director in Ethiopia and some African countries like that, about 4 or 5 African countries. And then we now have a regional schools director who we all report to. So all the directors report to this regional schools director. And so she was based in Kenya, and then all the other people reported to her. So she was going to leave the company, and she sends me an email and said, look, you are the best director I've ever worked with, not best director, you are the best person I've ever worked with in my career. This is the regional director talking about me. And what did I do? Because since that time, I have reflected on what I have done. Because, of course, she's a regional director, I'm a director. Definitely, she reports to somebody who is the vice president. The vice president reports to the president. President reports to the board and all of that. It goes all the way to the top. What did I do? Okay, in my knowledge of emotional intelligence, your number one assignment is to make your manager look good. Okay, your number one assignment is to be responsive to feedback, responsive to emails, be there to listen. One of the most beautiful things you can do as a subordinate or somebody who reports to somebody is to listen attentively to everything they are saying and to take actions, take corrections, take feedback, and act on them swiftly. Because they will see you as somebody who, sometimes it's not about being smart. Ask relevant questions, then be there to champion their cause. Let them see that. And that's what I did with this lady. She would, whenever we have meetings, I'm always attentive. Whenever she gives me feedback, oh, this school is not doing well, this is what I think we should do, and these are the suggestions. I don't come back at the next meeting and tell her that, sorry, I didn't do. No. I start from the last thing she said. I valued her words. I took everything. If she sends an email, I reply the email within 5 hours. If I'm busy, because sometimes I'm on the field, I'm not able to respond immediately. I send an email that I'm going to respond to this immediately. And then I respond. Those are the things. This is how you manage conversations. You manage relationships. And so I was making her look good. Whenever anywhere, she will always recommend me as the top director. In fact, I actually won an award as the best director in the entire program. Okay, by the time, this was after she had left, but I got to know that she was the one that recommended me. And what did I do? Just ensuring that I am always on top of my game. And I don't take feedback as an attack, which was what I heard the other directors were now doing. Any morning they will try to argue. Take the feedback, present your perspectives in a way that is holistic and say, okay, what do you think? Because sometimes one of the things you can do, even if you disagree, don't put your disagreement as upfront and say, no, I don't think that is right. No, you don't tell your line manager that. Okay, you think, how about you put it as a question or as a suggestion? What do you think about this? Okay, what do you think about this? You don't say, no, that is wrong. I think I've been doing this. No. You're already putting yourself up as somebody who doesn't want feedback, okay? You position yourself as somebody who wants to learn, somebody who is teachable, somebody who wants to be corrected. That is what people, I look out for that as a leader. And they also are being judged. This thing goes all the way to the top. So if you want to rise to the top and you're able to manage relationships, I still cherish that email she sent me. In fact, I posted it on LinkedIn because it was so special to me, because before then we're always being rated for quantitative skills. Okay, so how well is school, the percentages and all of that. But this was the first time I was getting a feedback that was narrative in terms of, oh, this person, I just like this best person. I mean, I should use that expression. I was wow, but it was because of emotional intelligence. And so those little skills go a long way. Let me stop there.
Wow, amazing. Thank you. I'm really taking note. So thank you so much for those tips. So I want to go to, and I welcome questions, everyone. I know we've spent over going to 2 hours on this, so I am presuming that you must have questions or something. You can put in the chat box, or you can put your questions there, or if it's a feedback, or you're just acknowledging something that the presenter has said. So like, I want to talk about this self-awareness thing. Okay. Now, I mean, I like to say that I'm a direct person. I don't like to, how do I say this? I don't like to, in Yoruba, we say do or dry, like, so now how do I balance, being socially aware and also feeling fulfilled in my job, being authentic, like self-fulfillment? I want to be emotionally intelligent, but how do I ensure that emotional intelligence is not now leading me to being fake, to being superficial, and not being my authentic self, which then affects my own self-fulfillment?
Yes.
Do you get what I mean?
Get you totally. And that's a good question, because when we teach emotional intelligence, there's a tendency for people to misinterpret it, to say, you are self-serving, you just want to appear as though I'm the smart one, any small thing, Ogasa, yes ma'am, I'm always there, I'm loyal. No, you don't practice emotional intelligence and lose your sense of self-worth. That is a principle of emotional intelligence. You don't practice emotional intelligence. And all you're doing when it comes to emotional intelligence is trying to make the environment a conducive place and get results done. Anything that contradicts that is not being emotional intelligence. Is you just trying to do, like I've said it, okay, which is being self-serving, trying to position yourself for, which is good, but you have to be sure, because we're Christians. We have to be sure we're not doing it like the way the world is doing it, okay? We are Christians and we have the fruit of the Spirit. So simple things such as peace, love, joy, patience, kindness, that is emotional intelligence being at work. So if you are working with a boss and you are trying to say, look, I don't want this to appear as though I am just trying to curry favors, or I'm trying to position myself for opportunities and all of that, that is smart. That's a smart thing to do, because even Jesus told us in the Bible that we should learn the wisdom of the world. The people of this world are smarter than the people of the kingdom. What did they do? Look at that man that his master told him that today I'm going to cast you out. And what did the guy was smart? Started cutting debts off from other people, cutting debts and all of that. And Jesus said that this man is smart and that we have to learn from them. And so sometimes it's good to position yourself for opportunities, but you know exactly why you're doing it. And that's the major thing I want to emphasize, that exactly. And that's why the question I started at the beginning, the first thing I said about self-awareness is about understanding your values and your goals. That's why Socrates said, man, understand thyself, which means that whenever you're doing anything, anywhere, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? More important than the what is the how. And then also beyond how is also the why. So if I'm doing this because I want to position myself for opportunity, okay, that is good. There's nothing wrong about that. But if it's now appearing as though I am being too overly, I'm self-serving, I'm trying to please unnecessarily, no. Then you have to retreat and re-strategize again and reprocess yourself, because you don't lose your identity, you don't lose your self-worth, you don't lose who you are as a person. And that's why any company I work for, I've worked for several companies in my career in the last 10, 11 years, any company, I am always building something else on the outside. Because I know this, I'm always planning. I have 2 companies, Marculus Consulting, Marculus Foundation. I'm starting another one. I'm doing other things because I know that, look, I have my own life, because some people have interpreted their life around the company, and that's why they get offended easily. That's why they've interpreted their destiny based on what they see in the company, what they do in the company, and they find their their sense of identity from what the company. If the company crashes today, they have crashed. The company, anything, no, that's not how it should be. And that's why when we serve in church, which is excellent. If you serve in church, you are finding other expressions of your talents and your giftings, so that when you go into the world out there, I mean, you are not necessarily, you are not necessarily hoarding, and everything you want to do is just about the job. Because some bosses, that's all they have. Some bosses, all they know is their job. 24/7, Monday to Sunday, they always think about their job. So anything goes wrong like that, it affects them. And so number one is about positioning yourself to ask, why am I doing this? And then you evaluate the reason and say, okay, if this is a wrong reason, and you always know if it's a wrong reason. People always know. You have that intuition. Thankfully, we have the Holy Spirit in us. You know that this is a wrong reason, and then you re-strategize and say, no, let me approach it this particular way instead, because this is not a right way. And then, of course, but if it's the right thing, of course, we have to evaluate if it's the right thing. You are trying to position yourself for opportunities. Excellent. But the approach to that is also important. And then more important also is also to ensure that, you don't lose your sense of identity and confidence, who you are, okay? You speak confidently, you speak clearly, okay? You're not back carrying people. You know those back carrying people. Yes, sir, let me carry your bag. No, I'm not a back carrying.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. In fact, as you were speaking, it also, I just saw the connection. So being socially aware, being self-aware, they're kind of interlinked, right? So if I'm self-aware, and I'm also socially aware. Okay, yeah, socially aware. I'm trying to ensure that, I'm reading people's body language. I'm seeing out that question. People can see that, it's self-serving. So if I'm socially aware, I should be able to, and also I'm being true to myself, I should be able to curtail that. So as part of the wider emotional intelligence quotient, it all works together. Is a spectrum. If you're well developed in this social awareness part, and also your self-awareness part, then you should be able to balance it out well. So yeah, thank you for that. So is there any downside to emotional intelligence? Any downside to it? Is there any to emotional intelligence?
Yeah, Moi seems to have a question, so maybe we'll take her after. But to your question, emotional intelligence, number one, if you practice a whole lot of emotional intelligence, you have to have bandwidth to tolerate nonsense. Bandwidth, your bandwidth for tolerating crap and tolerating nonsense, tolerating evil, you have to have that bandwidth. So there's the downside of the thing, things will take time because your patience will be tested. You have to have a lot of tolerance for many things. So it's going to be tested. So the downside is that sometimes people will try to take you for granted. People will try to exploit you. So you have to be smart to detect that these people is exploiting me. Because people, when I come into a company, one of them, and it's been consistent all through my career, they say, this guy is also cool, so gentle, so calm. Everything is calm, simple, gentle. That's the feedback I've received all my life. And so, but I've seen that people try to take that for granted and try to exploit that. The fact that they see my gentle face and say, they want to try and choke something. Let me use that word for want of a better word. They want to choke something and slot something into my space. But then you have to, that's where you now bring your reason. Because if you are all just emotion and then there's no reason, then you'll be taken for granted. People, you just realize things are happening around you and you don't know. Which is why emotional intelligence is a balance of your emotion and your logic. You know exactly what is happening in your environment, but then you are not in a hurry. God is a God of high emotional intelligence. He created these things. Think about all it took before Jesus came. Think about when Adam was created and all the story of Abraham and all the prophets and all the stories of Israelites and all their kings. God was not in a hurry. God knew that Jesus was going to come one day, but God was, and that's why I call it the infinite patience of God. And that's something we all have to learn. When it comes to emotion, then you'll be tested. Look at the devil is running riot across the world. God, he has a plan for human race, but God will allow the devil and the demons to do all kinds of things in the world. But because God is a God of strategy, which is what emotional intelligence is about. I didn't know they wanted to crucify the Lord of glory. Okay, because God had a strategy for the death of Jesus, and this is the strategy that will liberate the entire human race. But the enemy was just running. That's what emotional intelligence will teach you. And look, it's not just about doing things out there. You are strategizing. It's not just about reacting to things in your environment. They are killing the disciples. This one is happening. They've crucified Jesus on the cross. They captured them. They are beating him. They are flogging him. It's part of the plan. It's part of the strategy. And so it makes you a bit more strategic, even though it takes time. So the downside there is that you have to think long term. There's a book I'm reading or I've read and I want to read again. It's called The Long Game. When you're playing the long game, things will take time. You just allow, when you're building your career, long game. You have to have the long range principle. Sometimes it's not immediate. You are thinking long term. So results may not be apparent right now when it comes to emotional intelligence, but in the long run, people will realize that, wow, this guy is smart.
Amazing. Thank you. Moyi, okay, you can speak now. You can ask your question. And then I have another question sent to me, so I will just read that out after Moyi. So go ahead, Moyi.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Peace. Like Sister Agwemi, you really answered you asked some of my questions. So I wanted to ask one that you said, you are not a carry bag. So I will say an incident that happened in my office. Okay. So at my office, we had a meeting and I'm an intern. And then I'm this type of person that I will speak out. Like I will, I like to give opinions. I like to see things growing. And like you said it, I put my heart and my soul into the workplace that anytime we're having meetings, I would talk. So we had this particular meeting with my MD. And then I spoke that, why didn't so and so events did not happen? And they told me the reply. And I thought that was all. All of a sudden, the next day or 2 days, they said that they sacked me. They were about to sack me and another lady because we spoke. And that other lady is an intern. So I was scared that what's the problem actually? And the HR called me that, my work is well, but I have to respect. And it seems I disrespect people. And so a friend of mine told me that, ask other people, how do you disrespect? And my colleagues were shocked because I am not proud. I do not disrespect. So I now realized that it was during that session that we had that they said, I spoke out. The way I spoke was to, so in that type of situation, what do you do? Secondly, I wanted to help the other lady too, because she's also an intern. And for her, they were like, she doesn't carry the bag of the madam, like maybe like a head in that particular region. That she sees the woman, she doesn't carry her bag. And I'm like, are you meant to be waiting for someone to carry your bag? So I tried to tell her that, okay, you have to just help shoulder, like she doesn't understand. Sometimes she's very busy at work. So in that kind of scenario, how do you position yourself? Awesome. Then secondly, let me just say all my questions about, career. Now, at a point when you feel like you are not somewhere, Pastor Koji will say something that if you are going late to a workplace, that means you don't have any interest. You don't want to do that thing. You don't want to work there. If you know you're a late comer so at the point where you are not feeling interested at the workplace, like sometimes you don't even want to do your tax. Does that mean you should move on to another career path, or you should leave the firm? Or does that mean you just have to be patient? Because we were talking about long run. Does that mean sometimes you just have to cut your career and this place, I'm not feeling interested. Sometimes I don't want to work. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling down. Do I just have to leave this place? Do I leave this place and just start afresh in another place? So that's my own question.
These are big questions that sometimes I wonder if I should charge you for answering these questions. But I'm just kidding. Let me try and quickly answer them, because they are big questions and it's a question that's on the heart of people. Now, for the first one that talks about you almost sacked because you commented during a meeting. Now, first of all, you are an intern, okay? You have to know that. I don't know how long you have been in that company. You have to study a company before you begin to share your perspective or say anything at all. Remember what I said about when you're in a new environment, you have to study the environment. There's something called the company culture. Company culture, you have to study the company culture for at least 3 months before you even say anything. Sometimes it's best. There's a line in Proverbs that says, look, a silent man, a quiet man is wiser than a man that talks. When you are quiet, people will think you are smart. But the moment you open your mouth like this, they will know how foolish you are. Not that what you said was foolish, but it was not consistent with the company culture. You have to understand the culture of the company anywhere you are. The culture of the company dictates that, look, anybody that says anything that is contrary to a decision that was already taken by management is opposing the management. So keep quiet. I'm sure you know that by now. As you begin to journey in the company, as you begin to rise, you begin to gain more weight. That is emotional. You begin to master, okay, I think I have more leverage now. I have more clout now. I have more respect in this company now. My opinions begin to count now. But as an intern, most people will just say, who is this person? So you yourself, you know what you carry, you know that your perspectives are reasonable and sound, but the people there, culture, which is a toxic culture, I would say, because people should be able to hear their opinions. That is not a psychological safe environment. Remember, I talked about psychological safety. People should not feel condemned or criticized based on what they say. No, shouldn't lead to a firing, okay? But of course, the culture there, of course, and that's the situation, unfortunately, in many companies in Nigeria, unfortunately, especially startup environment where it's about profit, let's just get it done and all of that. They don't want anything that has, if you say anything that is opposing, or that is in opposition to what the set man or the leader or the CEO has said, they'll think that you're not siding with the leader and they want to X you and lead you out already. So what I'm saying there in essence is that be careful. You want to study and understudy and learn the culture and begin to gain influence, begin to grow in influence, okay? Before you begin to share your perspectives or ask anything that seems contrary or say anything that seems contrary. That's what I would say. So master the company culture. And for your friend as well, let me try to remember now. You said your friend carrying bags and all that. That is also part of the culture. Evidently, it means that they want people that are self-serving, people that are people pleasers. You know, carry my bag for me and show me. And of course, especially it's predominant in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Culture of respect. Culture of some people are not like that. Some people they have mindsets that are out of the world. Okay, they don't send. Just do your job. They don't send whether you even greet them or not. Just do your job. That's what. But people, if you have not asked them for how your family is, or you don't call them on their birthday, or you don't say, hey, hello, how are you doing? Or you don't comment on their chat on social media, on WhatsApp status, they will take offense. And you have to know certain things like that. That is a toxic environment. And you have to make a decision to say if you want to stay there. It's all your choice. For now, that is where God has placed you. And guess what? That may be a place of training for you. When David was anointed, it took several years before he became king. God was using all the experiences in his life to train him. Saul was a toxic king. I read some days ago, I totally had not seen that in the Bible. I was surprised. Really, Saul killed 85 priests just because he wanted to get to David. He killed 85 priests and wiped off an entire city, cleaned them out. Man, woman, child, animals, the city of Nob. I don't think in my reading the Bible, when I saw it, I've read it before, but I didn't know. That was a toxic environment. But God was using that environment to train David. This is something I don't want you to be like. This is a king I don't want you to be like. So God may be planting you there right now and saying, look, Moi, I want you to stay here so you can learn how not to be a leader. I want you to be here so that you can expand your capacity, so you can develop thick skin. When somebody says something to you, you have expanded your capacity. I'm using that to answer your second question, because it's not everything that happens in your environment that should make you to say, look, I'm leaving this job and I'm leaving this job. No. Sometimes God plants you in a particular environment. I remember when my first job then, it was there. I was there for first and second year. I always wanted to go, but I ended up spending 5 years there. And guess what? Everything I'm doing till today, everything I'm doing today is tied to that job. I learned everything from that job. Anything I want to do today, I always remember, how did I act in this particular instance? How did I make this decision? So God may be using these experiences to train you for something bigger, better later on. So what I would say, thankfully, is the Christian environment. Listen to the voice of the Spirit. Is God telling you to leave? Okay, if he's not telling you to leave, you may be walking into bondage. But if he's telling you to leave and you're still there, you may be living in bondage. Let me rest my case there because of that.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Okay, let me quickly read this question someone sent to me. I'll read it verbatim. How can I handle a boss that always wants things done in her own way, even when they're at detriment of the organization? And she brings up unnecessary work, increasing my workload, and she also threatens to have staff sacked at any given time. So how do I handle this situation?
Yeah, I mean, the conversation on toxic bosses is a big one. I'm sure we all know about the trend some years ago, months ago on Twitter. Toxic bosses, big trend. And so this sounds like one of it. But one of the things I will tell you is that, number one, just like I said about the last job, the last question, Moi's question, is that you have to be sure this is where God wants you. This is where God wants you, and you are sure this is your job. Then you have to develop thick skin for that environment, for that boss, no matter what she says. That if she says anything, okay, it just bounces off you as a duck off the back of a duck, as dust or water off the back of a dust. It just doesn't have any impact or effect on you, okay? Because you can't. One thing you should do is that you will have to know is that you cannot change your boss. Even when you're married and this person is your husband and wife, you can't even change. Let alone your boss. You now want to say, okay, don't do this, change this. No, it's not possible. It's you that you can change. You can't change your boss. You can't correct your boss. You can correct people that are reporting to you, but you can't correct somebody who you are reporting to. So because you know that that is not possible, the best thing you can do for yourself is to arm yourself with strength. And you have this strength. Think about David with Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, that if he wants to have party, he wants to have fun, he kills you. That's how he has fun. That's how he enjoys himself. These are the kind of kings that lived back in the day. But look at the likes of David. David was emotionally intelligent, smart, was able to deal. Look at the likes of, look at the 3 Hebrew children. Because they didn't bow. I'm using scriptural references now because that is how God wants us to operate in the world of work. Look, these 3 Hebrew children, they did not bow to, and then look, Nebuchadnezzar said, look, throw them into the furnace of fire in anger. That's what we would term, oh, I'll fire you. That's a correlate of that, okay? In the Bible, I'll throw you into the fire and say, look, I'm not going to bow, okay? I'm going to stand by my. So what I'm saying is that you have to demonstrate superior level of intellect in the realm of the spirit, okay? Because there are some bosses that, is a spiritual engagement. It's not physical, okay? And that's when you spend time praying in tongues before you go into your workplace, they love you. They don't have a choice. They will just love you. They will be submissive to you. Okay, I've been in situations where some bosses are extremely toxic, or even is a landlady or a landlord that is toxic. When I spend time in prayer, 1 hour, 2 hours, I fast and pray over there. Look at how Queen Esther reversed the principle in 3 days after fasting. So if you have a toxic boss that you have to develop strength in the spirit, emotional strength, mental strength, psychological strength to be able to deal with anything that comes. Many people need the strength. It's not changing the person. You just need strength to be able to deal with what is coming. Because you remember what it says, let patience have its perfect work so that you can be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. In that job, you put there and you stay there in patience. That patience will do a perfect work in you that will stay with you for a lifetime. I can tell you. So please learn from that. Very important.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Similar to that question, and this is the second to the last question. I have one final question I want to ask. So similar to that, this is also someone that this person is a team lead now, but they have a colleague who used to be in another department and is older than them. So there was a role rotation at the organization, and then the person is now on their team, but as a subordinate. So they still respect this person, they greet this person with sir and say, oh, good morning, sir, how are you doing, sir? And then a situation came up where they had to nominate someone to travel from the team, and the team lead went. And then this person now came to, the team lead and said, oh, why didn't you nominate me? Maybe based on the fact that they are older than them, they've been in the organization for longer, but they just came into the team and they are now a subordinate in the current team. So how should this person apply emotional intelligence in dealing with this person? Because they are the team lead, even though this person is older than them, has been in the organization maybe possibly longer, or used to be their senior, but organizationally they used to be their senior, but now there's a role rotation. They are now in this person's team, but as a subordinate to the person. So how do they manage this person?
I was reading why you were also, because I know the person posted it here as well. Very clear question. I feel your pain. That is a very tricky place to be. Okay. One quick thing I will say you is take this person out. Okay. I'll say other things, but just quickly, just do this after today. If you have not done it before, take them out on a, let me say, date. Of course, not date in that sense, but take them out. Go see a movie together. Take them out. Just say you are going on a social, do something else. Just invite them to you. Throw it. Maybe go to a restaurant, eat together, and just have a random non-work related meeting with that person. That's one strategy. Just do that, okay? But secondly, I want to emphasize the role of a leader. You're a leader, okay? You don't, because somebody's older than you, now be feeling as though you have to be subservient to them by greeting them, yes, sir, yes, sir. No, you're already losing your leadership by doing that, okay? You are losing your leadership by doing that. You have to stand up because they are looking at you, and that's why he could suggest that, why did you call me? Because he thinks that you are subservient, so he can suggest that. You have to be a tough leader. And that's why people fear Trump in the United States. They fear him. Trump, and he doesn't send, he's a strong leader. We need strong leaders. And so in your strength, however, you have to now be, because you know he's older, you give him the respect that he deserves. You give him the honor. I remember I talked about all of these things earlier on, okay? When you're dealing with somebody who is much older than you and they're reporting, especially when you were once together in a team and now you are above them and they're still older than you. So it's a very tricky situation, a tricky scenario. You give them the honor. Number two, you seek their perspectives, ask for their opinions about things, okay? Okay, what do you think about this? Value what they have to contribute to the matter, okay? But sound smart, sound intelligent, and sound very straight. Don't do it in a way that makes them feel as though you are subservient to them or they are the leader. Okay, no. There's a balance. And if you enroll me as your coach, I can tell you more, but let me rest my case now. I'm sure you got it.
Thank you so much. I mean, I'm running over my time now, so I'll just ask this one last question. So now we've learned about emotional intelligence. So for someone that is not sure, where they stand, so what are some ways that we can evaluate our current level of emotional intelligence? How do I know where I am at, if I'm emotionally intelligent at all? How can I know? How can I assess?
Yeah, thank you for that. There's an emotional intelligence test that can be taken. There are tons of it, actually. I have one that I give to my clients, okay, to evaluate across each of the competencies. I can test. If you answer a few questions, I can determine where you are. If you answer them honestly, okay? So that's one way to do it. Number two, you can also ask friends around you to evaluate you. What do you think about this in this aspect of my life? How do you think I receive feedback well? Okay, because some people, when they receive feedback, anytime they are corrected, they react. Okay, when they react like that, it's a sign of lack of emotional intelligence. Then give feedback. Some other people, when they are giving feedback, is when you realize that they lack emotional intelligence. So get people to evaluate you. And people don't know how to give feedback. They just say things harshly. No, like I thought about the sandwich approach. So you can evaluate yourselves by asking people around you, colleagues, friends, partners in the relationship, marriage, husband, wife. You can ask, what do you think about this aspect of my life? Do you think I connect well with people? Do you think I relate well with people and all of that? And then number three, ask God about it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking our questions and taking us on this journey. I'm happy to help people ask all the questions since they were not asking at the beginning. So I will hand over to Sammy now. Oh no, sorry, to Joel Oshoba to close us out, give a summary and close us out. Thank you, Joel, over to you.
Sure.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peace Bamidele. Please, can we just express our gratitude? Use a reaction. Just let's tell him thank you. This has been a powerful session. You can put in your feedback in the chat. You can give your feedback. You can express your gratitude in the chat. Say thank you so much, Sister Rita. Thank you. So, Mr. Peace Bamidele, we are so blessed by your outputs today. Thank you for the counsel. Thank you for solving problems. Thank you for giving insight into these things. And I'm sure yes, thank you. So you can look through the chat. We are expressing our gratitude already. And so much, I'm sure this has been a way to open up a lot of people to see that there are ways to develop emotional intelligence. There are courses, there are trainings, you can have a coach. And so I'm sure people are going to engage and, connect with you. So thank you so much for taking out your time to be a blessing to us. Mr. Peace Bamidele has been my friend for about 9-10 years now. I met him at an ATM post one lovely night like that. I was coming back from work and I was working at a very toxic environment, the type where the boss tells you to go and pick their children from school or probably tells you to go and buy them food. So, and then you are wondering, what did I sign up for? But then, thank you so much, Mr. Peace. For a lot of what we've spoken about today, there's little much, I can add or even summarize. But then one of the things that is key is that soft skill, as we started from the beginning, soft skill is a competitive advantage in today's workplace because we are in the era of the advanced information age. So we have to compete both with machines and with other people. So in this time and age, beyond what a machine can offer, you as a human being you have emotions. So I remember once I was asking ChatGPT a question and ChatGPT said, oh, I don't have emotions, so I can't give you an answer on this. And that's what soft skills and emotional intelligence does to you. So when you have skills in this area, you know that you cannot be threatened at what you do. That is one thing. And then we went further into the aspects of the skills. And, you know, the soft skills, about 10 of them were mentioned. We posted that on several of our groups. We've shared them on our flyers. They are all going out on social media as we speak, and so many of our groups. So if you're not following us on social media, you can follow us on TSF, TCN Abuja on Instagram. And then you have to be a single person to be on the group. But then you can follow us on social media for subsequent engagement. And then you can also follow Macquillos Foundation or AskPeace_ on Instagram. So, and yes, thank you very much for that. And you can follow him on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Twitter for tips and content, or just to engage him furthermore. And then we go into emotional intelligence itself, which is self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management. And these are very, very important. Personally, I like the aspect of the emphasis on managing politics in the workplace, because, you know, as believers, sometimes we don't play in that space. And interestingly, I was reading the same book of 1 Samuel some weeks and months back, and then I got into the place of 1 Kings, and I saw how, although Solomon was supposed to ascend the throne, but then the person who played the political move for him to ascend the throne was actually a prophet. So, you know, you wonder, what is a prophet doing in politics? What was their business with that? But then the person who did the political strategy for a new king, according to God's will, to emerge, was actually a prophet, somebody who wasn't even in political leadership. But then that's, you know, gives the idea that everybody who is involved in the agenda of God should understand politics. I've been in places where I'm not caught up for politics. I don't have time for politics. I just want to do my work and go on. And Mr. Peace mentioned that earlier. I said, when you are working in the place, don't just zero in on your work. You must study your environment. I know of instances where people could have become the leaders that they ought to be, but they just focused on policy. They didn't partake in politics, and then they could not emerge as the kind of leader that people will have appreciated. They had to be, you know, cut out of the race, and then they don't emerge, all because they were focused on policies, doing good work, expecting only their good works to speak for them, when they could have involved themselves in politics. And, you know, to a very great extent, I think that's a very key feedback for a lot of us to get into. And then, you know, the studying of people, understanding your boss, that is phenomenal. You know, sometimes we get into that place where we are just, quote unquote, belligerent. Nobody can tell me what to do. I'm here to do my job. But then, if you are this job, and I like the Christian perspective Mr. Peace brought to the table, sometimes God will have you be in a place He won't want you to resign. So in those cases, instead of being the victim, you have to rise above what is being played, and you yourself, you stop being played so that you can be part of the players. So you want to be part of the players so that you are not just a victim, and then always you're having to say, oh, I'm walking in love, I have to forgive this person. Love is also wise. Scripture says that we speak wisdom among them that are mature. The matured ones are the ones walking in love. So they are the ones that have access to the wisdom that the princes of this world do not have access to. So love definitely demands us to walk in. As a matter of fact, love produces wisdom in us. So I think I've touched on this point in one way or the other. We'll trust to make the recording available for us to visit back. And then also we can, as it's been said over and over again, we can also engage with our facilitators today. And then we can, and definitely for organizations, is a trainer for businesses, for staff, for team, you know, a whole lot. And you can see a whole lot there I remember, I think he mentioned once how he was working with somebody to manage their anger. You know, that was the job. The boss needed to know how to manage their anger. So those are things that we can work on. So I'll bring the meeting to a close here. So for those of us who may not be part of the Covenant Nation or part of the Singles Fellowship of the Covenant Nation, this meeting, this webinar, this training was organized by the Singles Fellowship of the Covenant Nation Abuja, and it was aimed and towards helping people rise in these times by learning the skills that are required in the workplace, especially emotional intelligence and soft skills. So if you're not a member and you're a single person, we'll gladly welcome you. Just chat up any of the admins on, if you're a member of the Covenant Nation Abuja, chat up any of the admins. People like Samuel Opone, you can chat up Minka in the form. You can chat off Benaya, Bedaran, Unso, Bear. So these people will be able to help you and onboard you into the team. So at this point, I want to say once again, thank you for everyone who showed up. I knew some people had dropped off along the line. A lot of meetings happen at this point in time, but I'm sure a lot of them were in for most of the meetings. So thank you for joining in. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for inviting people, for sharing the links, for sharing the flyers. That is also a way for evangelizing and drawing people into the kingdom. And our most sincere appreciation to the facilitator, Mr. Peace Bamidele. We pray that God will use this opportunity to keep spreading your influence, increasing your connect, and bringing you into rooms that helps you shine these lights and help people become all they need to be in God's plans for their life. Thank you so much, sir. We bow out now and see you, everyone, next time. Good night.